на этой неделе у нас рабочие дни вторник, среда, четверг, пятница, суббота, воскресенье, выходной, и следующая неделя с понедельника по пятницу. Если вы, большинство из вас смотрели, что у нас блоки для учителей, то есть эта неделя, условно говоря, для учителей, а следующая неделя для академдиректоров, фрилансеров, руководителей. Так, Мирослава к нам подключилась. Мирослав, отключитесь, пожалуйста, чтобы я вас сейчас не искала. Ну, такое бывает. Zoom, несмотря на то, что ставишь настройки, чтобы никто не подключался, иногда люди, проходя, подключаются автоматически. Ну, ничего страшного, я думаю. Вот, значит, следующая неделя – это фриланс, малые школы, большие школы и академдиректора. Мы начинаем в 10 часов по Москве, заканчиваем в основном в час, но какие-то дни будут более длинными. И даже, нас что-то много подключается. Сейчас я... Пожалуйста, отключитесь, у кого подключилось видео. Я сейчас делаю это насильственно. Так, отключилась, но почему-то Мирослава не исчезает с экрана. Ладно, сейчас посмотрим, пока, может быть, оно само пройдет. Итак, по поводу записи. Значит, записи идут каждого дня. Вот сейчас идет запись, в запись попадает экран. Так что те, кто подключаются с видео, вы тоже попадете в запись. Экран, презентация чата в запись не попадет, поэтому если вдруг что-то в чате, вам нужна будет какая-то информация, контакты или еще что-то, вы, пожалуйста, это себе забирайте. Запись будет обрабатываться в течение дня приблизительно, и обычно в таком формате мы либо в этот же день вечером рассылаем, либо на следующий день, ну, по возможности, да, то есть есть технические какие-то моменты, но в принципе не более суток занимает обработка видео. Вот. Если есть вопросы именно по нашему брат-шапу, пишите в чат, я вижу чат, могу что-то ответить. Если вдруг во время вот учительской части вы захотите продолжить, то есть посмотреть и другие части, вы можете либо купить отдельную часть, какая вам интересна, либо если вы хотите комбо, это то, что включает в себя все три блока, то можно просто докупить, условно говоря. Для этого нужно написать нам на почту с просьбой, чтобы вам отдельный счет выставили, что вы хотите доплатить. Кстати, так, вот, все ушли, все ушли с видео. Кстати, по поводу вот контактов, почты и так далее, то есть при возникновении вопросов и каких-то, может быть, проблем, можно писать на нашу почту info@3english.ru, все контакты есть на нашем сайте. Можно звонить мне или писать мне в WhatsApp. Я сейчас скину в чат и почту, и контакт свой. Многие мне звонили накануне брат-шапа, поэтому, в общем-то, вы можете это делать совершенно спокойно по всем вопросам, которые возникают технические, организационные и так далее. Так, и сейчас я еще быстренько хотела сказать. Trendy English в этом году планирует очень много различных мероприятий. Вы, наверное, если заходили на наш сайт, видели, что у нас проходит, какие форматы мероприятий есть. Это Trendy English Talks, это мероприятия бесплатные. В августе пройдет такое мероприятие в Казани, 25 августа, вот на следующие выходные, и в Казань приедет Елена Пересада. И пройдет Trendy English Talks в Ижевске, приедет Марк Антуан. Поэтому, если вы из этих городов, то вы можете туда попробовать попасть. Также это мероприятия, которые проходят в новых городах усилиями и за счет наших представителей в каких-то городах активных, которые хотят, чтобы Trendy English проходил в городе. Также у нас проходит академия. В этом году мы ее немножко переформируем, и это будет формат академии и онлайн, и офлайн в городах. Поэтому мы тоже будет много мероприятий офлайн в разных городах крупных. Все анонсы будут чуть-чуть позже. Новый формат, который мы запустили, это Trendy English Game Fest. Раньше были просто игротеки, они были иногда, теперь это будет более постоянное мероприятие. И в Москве 30 августа, если вам хочется зарядиться позитивом накануне 1 сентября, приходите, будем играть в игры. Всех вас приглашаем, но это Москва. Также у нас запускается новый интересный проект, который называется «Трендеж». Это новый формат, и анонс по нему тоже будет чуть позже, и на этой неделе выйдет в соцсетях статья, где напишем мы, что это такое, и попросим вашего мнения и, возможно, какой-то помощи. Также будет конкурс. Накануне конференции нашей большой Trendy 8 будет конкурс по регионам, в котором будут хорошие призы. Тоже условия конкурса участия будут в соцсетях в течение 1-2 недель. Поэтому участвуйте, выигрывайте наши мероприятия. Также можно присоединиться к нашему тренди-клубу, купить карточку тренди-клуба, стать участником тренди-клуба. Это дает вам массу всяких плюшек и бонусов. Опять же, на сайте можно это все посмотреть. Ну и, конечно же, Trendy 8 нас ждет 30 ноября, 1 декабря. Москва, гостиница «Салют». Сейчас действует самая низкая цена на это мероприятие до 1 сентября, поэтому если вы сомневаетесь или не сомневаетесь, но подзабыли, так что спешите, пожалуйста, присоединиться к нам. Цена будет расти, так что мы вас всех ждем. У нас очень много всяких мероприятий, много всего интересного. Кстати, для всех участников онлайн мы про это писали, говорили. И если вдруг вы еще не являетесь членом какой-либо нашей группы, там, ВКонтакте или в Фейсбуке или в Инстаграме, присоединяйтесь, я в чат кину все ссылки. Вот, говорили и писали, что для всех участников онлайн, кто присутствует онлайн на мероприятии, каждый спикер приготовил свой подарок, бонус. Это будет в виде ссылки в чате. Она будет доступна только в течение этого времени. Так что, как только спикер дает ссылку, если она вам интересна, вы по ней проходите, ну, по крайней мере, вы ее как-то себе сохраняете, чтобы потом посмотреть. В рассылках, и потом это нигде отображаться не будет. В конце дня я все 3 ссылки еще раз соберу, скину, вы сможете их взять в течение нескольких минут, но тем не менее, имейте в виду, что в конце каждого выступления каждый спикер будет что-то предлагать, какие-то свои плюшки. В конце дня, по возможности, я все это соберу и тоже выложу на минут на 5-10 в чате, чтобы вы могли это все собрать. Если ко мне больше нет вопросов, давайте поставим циферку 1, все понятно, вопросов нет, мы тогда продолжаем, а мне нужно найти Артема Морозова. Так, вот, он сам нашелся.
Доброе утро.
Доброе утро. Все, я отключаюсь. Мы закончим в 10:53, да, так мы чуть-чуть задержались, но в 11 начнется следующее выступление Тома Wiseman, поэтому все будьте на связи. Удачного вам учебного дня.
Okay, so distinguished colleagues, honorable colleagues, if you can hear me well, please let me know. So you can just write hello in the chat if you want. So how can you hear me? Is everything okay? Do you see my presentation? Yeah, great, great. So nice to see you all, guys. It is very exciting to be the first. It has always been difficult for me to be the first for many reasons, and probably one of the reasons is that we do judge the book by its cover, although we always say that we shouldn't, but we all do. And you should know that your students will judge you by the very first lesson you teach. So it is vital to get ready for your classes. It is important to prepare, but it is even more important to get ready for your very first lesson. Yeah, it's nice to see you too, guys. So yeah, it is important to get ready for your first lesson. That's why today we'll talk about this. We will learn some new tips, and you'll probably learn a few hacks how to decorate your classroom to make it more beautiful. So if you ask a very old and experienced teacher what you need to do in the very first lesson, it is very likely that he or she, the old hand, he or she will say that you need to make it clear that you are a teacher, not a clown, right? So that you are there not to entertain the students, but to educate the students, to make them learn, to make them study. And I agree with this. I think you need to be positive, but not too much. So you should be a little bit strict, maybe not a little bit, but probably it's not the main goal of the first lesson. So maybe it's not the first, not the primary goal to show that you are the boss. Yeah, but probably it's more important to make your kids feel safe in your classroom, to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel at home, to make them feel safe, right? To do that, you need to break the ice, and there are a lot of icebreaker activities on the internet. One of my favorite icebreakers are these ones, the game that's called Guess Who. What you basically need to do is you ask your students to tear off a sheet of paper from their notebooks, and they need to write one fact about themselves on this piece of paper. It can be anything, something simple like I like pizza, or my name, no names. I like pizza. I went to London in summer. If they know past simple, why not? So every student will write 2 or 3 facts. So there will be 2 or 3 paper balls for each student, and they will put these paper balls into a box. You mix the paper balls, and then you send the box around the table. What the students do, they just take one paper ball, they unwrap it, and they read, okay, went to London. Who went to London? Seryoja, you went to London, or did you go to London, right? If this person guessed correctly, his team will get a plus. If not, no plus. Yeah, or candy confessions. You go to a local supermarket and you buy some colored candies like M&Ms or Skittles, and you put them into a plastic bowl or a plate, and you write on the board what these colors mean. For example, yellow could be food, red, see red can be school, green, technologies, blue, hobbies. And so you send this bowl with candies around the table, and they need to take one candy. And if I take a green candy, I need to say something about technologies. For example, oh, I have got a phone. Then I send the bowl to the student sitting on the left, and he will take a red candy, and he will need to say something about school. Or yellow, for example, okay, yellow candy, I like apples, and so on. So this is what we are going to do. Candy confessions. It's called candy confessions. With teenagers, you may want to play a speed dating game. Yeah, I think I can hear some noises. So probably somebody hasn't turned off the mic. If you can turn off your mic, I would be really grateful to you. So speed dating. If you have played this game, please write something in the chat like, yes, 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 we know what it is. Or no, what is speed dating? What are you talking about, Artem? This is when you have a circle. No, no, okay, somebody didn't play. So you have a circle of students sitting inside and one circle outside. So here you have student A, student B, student A, student B, student A, and student B, and so on. So they're sitting like this. Students sitting in the center, they will not move. They will keep sitting. And people sitting on the outer circle, they will move all the time. So what you do, you give each student a card with questions like this. So you can do it would you rather style, for example. Yeah, if you turn off the mics, great. Because I hard to want some English. If you okay, so every student has a card with questions, and I need to ask these questions. For example, Mexican or Chinese food? Papa says Chinese. Tennis shoes or Converse? Converse. We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes. When the time is up, I say change, and this student will stand up and go to this place. This student will stand up and go to this place. Everybody will change. Okay. There were some problems with the connection, I think. Yeah, that's true, because I can hear some terrible noise too. Is everything okay now, guys? Do you hear what I'm saying? Yeah, great. So yeah, when you join, do make sure that you turn off your mic. It is important, okay? Okay, so if you don't like speed dating, try the Big 12. You write 12 questions on the board and you ask them to work in pairs. So what they do, Seryoja rolls the dice and he has got 3 and 6. Okay, it's 9. So he asks Masha, Masha, what's your favorite smell? And Masha says, coffee. I like the smell of coffee. Then Masha rolls the dice and she has got 7. Okay, do you still have a home phone? Seryoja says, no, I don't have a phone. I don't have a home phone. I have only a mobile phone. So something like this. Well, you need to break the ice, but at the same time, you will need to establish some kind of rules in the first lesson. This is also important. Before you explain your rules to the students, you need to explain your rules to yourself. So you need to sit with a notebook at home, and you need to kind of brainstorm the rules you would like them to obey. If you're a fan of Harry Potter, you may want to organize this like in Harry Potter. You know, if you have several groups, like several groups, you can offer them to choose one house from Harry Potter. For example, Gryffindor. One group is Gryffindor, one group is Slytherin, and so on. Or they can come up with some crazy names that do not really exist, like Gryffindor and Puffindor, and so on. They will then need to create a logo for their house and a motto for their house and a name and so on. You will hang it on the wall in your classroom, and you will print a page like this with your rules. Every month they will be earning some points. Every lesson they have a chance to earn 1 or 5 or 7 or 10 or more points. If one of the students answers your question correctly, just one student, all the group gets 1 point. Yeah. If everybody comes to your lesson, so nobody skips the lesson, everybody comes, nobody's missing, a classroom perfect attendance, the group gets 5 points. Okay. If a student receives an A on the test, 5 points. Everybody, all the group receives 5 points. The main point here is to make them work as a team, as a group, not as a collection of individuals, but as a team. And by the end of every month, they will have a certain amount of points, like 20 or 50 or 70 or 100 points. And you will be able to choose the best house of the month or the best group of the month. And you'll probably want to make it really fun. If you ask the director of studies of your center to come and present this group with a fancy looking certificate, which you will be able to put on the wall somewhere on display so that everybody could see. You'll make some noise you will listen to some loud music and so on. The director of studies will say some nice words to the kids. So this should be a kind of an award, real award. So, and by the end of the year, the different groups will have a different number of certificates, right? And you will be able to count the certificates and choose the best group of the year. And they will probably get the fattest award, the best prize, like an ice cream party or a pizza party, or they will go to the cinema to watch their favorite film for free. If you have enough funding, if your school can afford it, or you can talk to parents and you could discuss the prizes you can provide the students with. But the minimum we can do is that there are parties throughout the year, like Halloween party or Christmas party. They shouldn't be for free for kids. They need to deserve to go to these parties. So what you can do is you can establish the minimum of points they will need to attend a Halloween party. For example, if the group doesn't have 150 points, unfortunately, the group will not be allowed to come to the Halloween party. So they will not be able to come. Okay, if you do not have like 250 points by December, you will not be allowed to go to the Christmas party. And this is already motivating, right? So it shouldn't be for free. They should deserve to go to these parties. And you will notice how their attitude to the parties change. And yeah, it does make sense. And may the force be with you, because teacher's job is probably one of the hardest job in the world, because you need to notice everything. You need to be very attentive. Once you have established these rules, you will need to notice every breach of your rules. So there are no minor details. If you say that they cannot speak Russian in the classroom, even if one of the students said "da" in Russian, you need to notice this. And you can, for example, take points from the house for Russian. If you speak Russian, take 1 point. If you come late, take 2 points. If one of the students, just one student, didn't do his or her homework, take 2 points from the house. Making them work as a group, because there are no minor details. It very often happens. The teacher says, don't speak Russian. And they say, yeah, okay, no problem, we'll not speak Russian. No problem, teacher. And then someone accidentally says "da," and you think, okay, it was an accident. It's okay. So I'll pretend not to notice this. Then somebody else says something. And then somebody else says something. And somebody else says something. And then everybody is speaking Russian again. And well, there are no minor details. You need to notice everything. And you need to get ready for the lesson. So you need to carefully think through what exactly you are going to say, how exactly you are going to explain the rules of the games to your students, and try to keep it simple. And preferably it should be one word and one gesture, like listen or look, and so on. Especially if you're planning to work with beginners. If you're planning to work with beginners, non-abstract vocabulary will be the best, like food, animals, furniture, so preferably something they can touch or see. If you can't show it in the picture, it's not the kind of vocabulary you will want to teach in the very first lesson. And of course, using prompts helps a lot for junior kids, like 5 or 6-year-old kids who do not read yet. You will want to use oral prompts. So what you basically do, you give them a model. So you need to make sure that for every question you're going to ask, you have oral prompts. You will give them, they will be able to use, because you are the only model of communication they have, right? So the only thing they basically can do is to repeat after you, to copy what you are saying. What I mean is this a big car or a small car? And what they need to do is to choose between the two options, big car or small car, and they will answer your question by saying it's a big car. So they will just copy you. For every question, you need to prepare options they will be able to use, and they will be able to answer your questions then. It's not very easy. It's not very difficult to repeat after the teacher. The reason why students sometimes speak Russian is often not because they want to disobey, but because they just don't know how to say this in English. And a great idea is to prepare the classroom. Probably with teenagers, you may want to spend the first lessons studying this classroom language. So we probably have a whole lesson on classroom language to make sure that they know everything. Or you can also put the most important phrases around the board like this. For example, this one is designed by Zhenya Plysunova, and if you want to download all of these materials, you can scan this QR code here with your phone, and you will go directly to my blog. I've already uploaded everything there, and you can just download all of these worksheets and handouts for free. So you print them, you laminate this, and hang this around the board. What else can you, how else can you prepare your classroom for the upcoming year? The weather station is a great idea, right? A weather station could be a great idea. So what you do, you scan this QR code, download this weather station, you print it, and you cut it out, and you hang it somewhere in your classroom, and you start your lesson with customizing this weather station. So you ask your students, is it hot today? Is it hot today? And they say, mm-mm. They do not say, they do like this. Mm-mm. You need to make them say, it is not hot. It is not hot. They repeat after you, it is not hot. Okay, is it warm today? And they, it is not warm. It is not warm. And they repeat after you, it is not warm. Okay, is it cold today? Ooh, is it cold? And they are like, yeah, it is cold. So you need to make them repeat after you. It doesn't have to look, it doesn't have to be that sophisticated, right? It can be just, you can just print the flashcards with weather pictures, and you will use a peg. So you basically ask them about every picture, and when you finally find the picture that satisfies the kids. For example, they think that it's windy today. Okay, so you move the bag to the picture with this windy, to the windy flashcard. Very simple. Yeah, guys, if you have questions, type them in the chat. When I'm done with this presentation, I'll try to answer most of them. Okay. So weather station. It's a good idea to create it. One more great idea from our Soviet kindergartens is an emotion corner. I haven't seen it in American kindergartens, and I don't really know why, because this is such a great idea. Kids, the younger the kids are, the more difficult it is for them to understand what kind of emotions they feel right now. So they can be sad, they can be angry, they can be upset, but they do not really understand what kind of emotions they feel. And the first step towards anger management is to learn to understand your emotions. And we, teachers of English, we need to teach them to understand what they feel, especially taking into consideration that it's a very good language we can teach with the help of this. So emotion corners are great. What you can do is to cut smileys out of cupboard and hang them somewhere, so it looks like this: angry, okay, and happy. The names of kids are written on pegs, and what you do, you ask your kids, so Serежа, how are you today? And Serежa says, I'm angry. So you take his peg and attach it to the red smiley. Okay, Masha, how are you today? I'm okay. Okay, so you attach Masha's peg to the yellow smiley. You can have more smileys like hungry, cold, thirsty, and so on. So it's up to you. Or it can be simple like this. You can also print, you can just laminate a page, and they will be able to draw with a marker on this page, and you will be able to erase everything easily with a simple sponge. So how do you feel today? Okay, I am happy today. And they just draw a smiley on this piece of paper. You can use this Lego man with a removable head. They have, you see, different emotions. You can download it here. Yeah, this handout is here. So how are you today? I'm scared. And he sticks the head to the place that's supposed to be, so here, right? Yeah, so weather, station, emotion, corner, birthday, posters are great. I love this. This is a kind of a reminder for the teacher, but it's also a reminder for the group. So in the beginning of the year, you ask your kids to write the date of their birthday, for example, the 10th, the 11th, the 14th. And then you ask kids who were born in July to stand together, kids who were born in August to stand together, and so on. And you take a picture of everyone, and then you print these photos and you make this birthday poster. It looks nice. And don't forget to congratulate everyone, to sing the happy birthday song, to provide them with birthday cards. They'll probably celebrate it somehow. We'll probably have a tea party every time somebody has yes, to celebrate this. So yeah, birthdays. One more thing I like is word pillar. It is originally designed for learning sight words, but I use it for all words we study. So when we finish a unit in a course book, I write out all of the words from this unit, and I write them on little circle pieces of paper and stick them to the door like this. So by the end of the year, there is a really huge word appealer around the door, and it is important to show your kids that they're doing some progress, and this is visually clear that they have studied a lot of words. You see, just a ton of words. But you can also use it for recycling vocabulary. For example, you can buy soap bubbles. You divide your students into groups, group 1, group 2. One student from group 1 comes up to the board, you give him or her the soap bubbles. Group 2 chooses the word. For example, they say play, and this student with bubbles will need to blow the bubbles, and the bubble needs to hit one of the words. If he managed to do this, his team will get a plus. If not, sorry, no plus. There can be a bubble boss, so like two people. One person will be blowing, and the second person will be helping to direct this bubble to the correct circle, to the correct word. Or you can use a soft ball for the same purposes. So they choose the word play, and I need to throw the ball to hit this word play. If I manage to do this, I get a plus. If you teach teenagers, you may want to create a taboo poster. It looks like this, and you hang it on the wall too, because teenagers, and especially if you teach high-level teenagers, sometimes tend to use very simple vocabulary, and they do not want to use all of the complex phrases you teach. And if you notice that your high-level teenagers overuse a certain vocabulary item, some word like beautiful, they say beautiful or important all the time. If you notice this, you say, okay, now important is a taboo word, and you write important on the poster. You ask your students to find some synonyms for this word, important, synonyms. So they go home, they try to find the synonyms, they come back, they share their finds with you, and you either approve or disapprove certain words. So and you create a kind of a word bank, common word bank they can use instead of important. Yeah. By the way, what words can we use instead of important? If you know, you can type this in the chat. So what else can you say instead of important? Yeah, like vital is a synonym. So and from this moment, when the word bank was essential, yes, crucial, thank you, great, yeah. So once the word bank was created, a key, Maria, thank you. Once the word bank was created, they cannot use the word important in the classroom anymore. So if they use this word, I will take 1 point from the house. So 1 word, 1 point. A very interesting thing is that when they notice the teacher using this word, they will get 1 point. So if the teacher accidentally used it, is a taboo word for both students and teachers. So if you use this word, the group will get, the house will get a point for being attentive. So yeah, essential. These ones are good. Don't say important. This is a taboo word. And by the end of the year, you will have a lot of taboo words. So there can be 2 or 3 columns. It will force them to use more sophisticated vocabulary. Posters, yeah, we teachers like posters, and I like this kind of poster with test results. Once upon a time, there was a very interesting experiment with factory workers. Serious scientists went to a big factory, and they divided the factory into parts. One part, they did nothing with this part, they just observed them. And the second part, which was subject to experiments. What they did, they were trying to find out what influences the productivity of the factory. So they thought, okay, maybe the lights will increase the productivity. So they decided to bring more lamps into the room, and you can imagine the productivity increased. The scientists thought, yeah, we found it. So just to make sure, let's try to take all the lamps out of the room, just to make sure that we are right. They did it. And you know what happened? Productivity increased again. And they thought like, what? Seriously? Okay, then this is not the light. Maybe the position of the tables is important. So they decided to change the position of the tables, and productivity increased again. And they were puzzled, like, what is going on? Everything we do increases the productivity. The outcome of this research was the understanding that neither the lights nor the position of the tables in the room, nothing really influences productivity dramatically. But what did influence the productivity was the fact that the factory workers were aware of the experiment. They were aware that somebody is watching them. And when you know that somebody is watching you, it makes you work harder. So if you want to be a more productive person, a more productive professional, you'll probably want to think that somebody's cameras of all the world are watching you constantly. And you will, when you know that somebody's watching, you do your job better all the time. So from this point of view, having a blog or a YouTube channel can be a good idea to become a better professional. Well, but it does work in the classroom when you know that your results will be seen by everybody. You will work harder to make these results better. So this table is not for a competition. So it's not a rating of students. No, you do not compete with anyone. We are one team. The only person you are competing with is you. So as I said, there are no minor details. If you notice that one of the students did better this time, for example, last time he had 51 out of 51 out of 100. Okay, good. But this time it's 52. Yeah, you need to notice this. This is a reason to talk about his results, to notice that they are better now, right? But we do not compare students. And again, if the student did a little worse than before, you can also pay his attention to this fact. So, Seryoja, last time you had 89, now it's 85. What happened? Do you think we will manage to have 90 next time? What do you think? So they will prepare for their tests better, and it is important to make them write in this table. So not you will write the results, they will write their results themselves. So all of the students from all of your groups are written here, and every time you write a test or something, you will write the results in the table. Organizers are great. I don't know why Swedish people have so many slippers at home, but in IKEA you can buy this slipper organizer. It is not for slippers, it's for flashcards. This is the actual function of this organizer. We bought it for 500 rubles, I think, or maybe less. And this was probably the best purchase of the year because we managed to organize all our flashcards. You know, teachers usually tend to mix everything, to lose them. But when we bought it, we managed to categorize all of the flashcards. And so now it's very easy to find everything. So maybe you would want to use it. I also, if you liked this idea of Harry Potter, you will probably create like Azkaban for phones, as like a phone prison. When they come to the lesson, teenagers. When teenagers come to the lesson, they will take their phones and they will put their phones into the bags. When the lesson is over, they take their phones. I'm not against using phones in the lesson, but I want them to use their phones when I want it, not when they want it. So if there is some activity which involves using a mobile phone during the lesson, I will ask them to stand up and take their phones. Otherwise, they should remain in the bags all the time. Okay, so what else? What else can you buy in a supermarket to prepare for the first year? Is this ultraviolet pen. It costs like 200, maybe less, rubles, and you can use it for classroom management. So what you do, you prepare cards and you write surprise prizes on these cards. For example, sitting on the teacher's chair can be a prize. Yeah, but I usually use it for a group classroom management. So not individually. What I do, I write sticks on the board. For example, 10 sticks. If you break one of my rules, I will remove one stick. For example, if you speak Russian, sorry, I erase one stick. Forgot your homework. Okay, sorry, life is hard. I erase one more stick, and so on. If by the end of the lesson there are no sticks, well, they will not be able to see the surprise prizes, so they will not be able to receive their surprise prize. But if there is at least one stick, they will get the prize. What can the prize be? Well, it can be anything they want. You can ask them. So ask your students what they want. It can be so they can choose their homework, for example. Yeah, you will provide them with this choice. Interesting homework or more interesting homework. So they can choose their homework themselves. Watching a small cartoon next lesson. Anything, right? To see the surprise prize, they will use the ultraviolet light on the end of the at the top of the pen to see what surprise prize they get today. So, because unless you use this ultraviolet light, the words are invisible. You can also use this ultraviolet pen for writing activities with younger kids. Yeah, why not? Writing and reading. Yeah, one more thing. If you have been thinking about buying a TV for your classroom, do not buy it. Buy an overhead projector. It's much better. Well, and what Alyona Tolkacheva did in her school, I saw this in her school. She directed the beam of her projector onto the board, onto the whiteboard, and this is amazing. This is really great. So you know, IQ boards are very expensive, and they tend to break all the time, and it's very pricey to install all of this equipment. But you just buy a projector, you direct the beam of the projector onto the board, and you can basically do the same. But okay, you will not write, you will not be able to write on your computer screen, but you will be able to write on your whiteboard with a marker. So you'll basically be able to do a lot of activities like so you show kids some kind of picture, and they will be able to draw on this picture like this, yeah, with a marker. So don't buy a TV if you haven't yet. Dice boxes are great. I saw this idea in one of the lectures by Katya Stashevska, and I think this is really, really great, because some teachers do not like to give board games to their kids because they constantly lose the dice, and you know, the dice are flying around the classroom when they play. So if you just put them into a plastic container, they are not allowed to take the dice out of the container. To see what number you have, you need to shake this container. So for example, I shake it and I have 10. Woohoo! So I make 10 steps forward. There are tons of games you can play, like you can use it for maths lessons, like I shake the box and I have 3 and 4, 3, and I say to my partner, 3 plus 4 is 7. Or you can play Dice Wars, where there are 2 people, they play in pairs, and they choose 2 numbers they think will win. So I think, for example, I think that my number is 2 and 3, and my friend thinks that it's 5 and 4. So I shake the box and I have 5 and 5. Okay, so I write here 5 and 5. Okay, and so my partner shakes the box and he has 1 and 2. Okay, he has 1 and 2. And we see which number will get to the top faster. So if my numbers get to the top faster, I win. If his numbers will get to the top faster, he wins. Right. Oh yeah, it's time to finish. Okay, I'm going to be very short. So kitchen timers, buy a kitchen timer because it can make some noise. You can use it for tons of activities. You'll probably be able to read about this here. I'll make a post about this. You can use a spinner instead of this kitchen timer to, for example, you make it spin, and while it is spinning, they need to try to remember all words from the previous lesson, or they need to read a short text while it is spinning, or they can play back to the board, or you can use it instead of the whirl if you make a small mark on this spinner, and when it stops, this mark will be kind of pointing at something, at some flashcard or at some question. Or Kinder Surprise, I like this one for a maths lesson. You take small stones. There can be 4 stones in one plastic container and 5 stones in the second plastic container and 10 small stones in the third. So what children do, they shake the container and they try to understand how many stones there are inside. Then you open and count. You can make letters. You can put letters inside and make words out of these letters. You can collect popsicle sticks and assemble letters from these popsicle sticks. You can build houses from popsicle sticks or write something on popsicle sticks. You can write some brain breaks on popsicle sticks and put the brain breaks into a glass jar and have it somewhere in the classroom. And if you are out of ideas, you will be able to use these popsicle sticks to fill in the gap. Yeah. So if you are out of activities in the lesson. Yeah, and I also brought a jar for you, as I promised. There are some prizes, surprise prizes for you guys. So let's see what surprise prize we have. And it's, what's this? Let me see. Wow. Well, it says that, yeah, you all guys have 30% discount on all CPD events that I have already had so far. So you can use, I think Julia will provide you with the code you can use on our site to get this discount. And there will be a link in the chat. So you can click on this link and yeah, 30%, use this code to get this discount. Yeah, thank you so much for being with me. I enjoyed being your guest. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I didn't really answer some of the questions you had in the chat, so you can easily ask all of the questions. If you go to my blog, you can drop me a message or send me an email. I'm open for any questions. Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Artem. Can you switch off sharing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Here are all the links, as I promised, as for our sites and social nets and Artem's blog in Wiki, so in Contacte, I suppose, and so you may address all the questions there. So, and we have got 2 minutes, you have got 2 minutes to have a cup of coffee, and I'd like to switch on Tom. Tom, where are you?
Well, here I am.
Okay, so I just want to check that everything is fine.
All right.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, no problem.
So, okay, not yet.
It should be coming. Oh, there we go. It's frozen. There.
Oh,
Got me?
hello.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, everybody.
It's great to see you. So we've got 1 more minute, yeah?
No problem.
So just for everybody to maybe to reload, yeah.
Of course, yeah. So one sec. Let me get my screen shared. We'll make sure that works.
Let's start it just to check everything, and so everybody might have a short break.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
So I can see your presentation. I can see you.
Good. And fingers crossed it stays that way.
So I see that it's 11 sharp. So we'll start. Let's check that everybody sees and hears you. So, and I'm switching off.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Everyone good? Hey, hello, hello. Yeah, Artem always has great ideas. Yeah, he's got a ton of them. We'll actually be together in Rostov-on-Don this semester, and possibly also in Kazan sometime in the future. So yeah, I always like working with him. Hello, everybody. Everyone can hear me? All good? How's it going? So I get to talk today about working with teens. And actually only once have I ever spoken with a teacher during the interview who just loved working with teens. Right when I met her, the first thing she said to me was, give me only your teens classes. All I want is teens. I'm nervous about working with kids. And it depends so much on the teacher. Because I have seen nightmare stories and I've seen great stories. I mean, the worst I've heard was where there was a group of teens and the teacher didn't have any respect for them. One of the teens smoked an e-cigarette during the lesson. They were always taking this teacher's phone, and it was a nightmare. Now, I didn't see that one. I did see one where there was a group, and they asked me to go to the lesson to see what we could turn around, and the group was just going crazy. Everyone was talking, not really listening to the teacher. They ignored him. He tried to just calm them down, but nothing really affected them. So those are the nightmare stories. But on the other end, I see amazing stories. I see things where teens will do anything for the teacher. I have teachers at my school right now who are amazing with teens. I go to the lesson and I see things where they will be silly, they will have fun, they will do whatever the teacher wants. There's almost no resistance to anything from the teacher. And this begins in about October and it goes through the end of the year. So when I see these sorts of situations, the question that I always have is this: what is the pattern? So when I work with teachers in my school, or when I work with teachers elsewhere, when I talk with groups like this, what I want to know is there something consistent? Is there something consistent in what the great teachers do, teachers who have really good lessons with teens? And is there something consistent in the lessons where you have a lot of difficulty with teens? Because it's a big deal to start well. If we're talking about the beginning of the year, you have to begin in a way that will give you a lot of power throughout the year, because if you start badly, it's really hard to turn it around. It's really hard to turn it around. There's a point where if you go beyond it, you can't come back. So you start at a certain level with your teens classes. But if it goes down too far, then it's not going to be good for anybody. And honestly, in those cases, sometimes it's best to switch teachers. There's nothing that I can do to turn it around because the relationship is already set. It's easier to turn it around with younger learners. It's doable with teens and adults, but it's more difficult. So, the first lesson. What do I want my teachers to be able to do the first lesson with teens? Well, we have an entire year ahead of us. We have an entire year of working with these teens. So at the beginning, I want to establish kind of a tool set for teachers. So I want them to have these tools that they can use throughout the entire year. And that means putting yourself at an advantage. And to do that, I have to first establish a fruitful relationship. Now, it takes time, often, to create a relationship with teens. It takes time building that sort of trust and rapport, but you want to start first lesson. You want to start first lesson so that you are moving in the right direction. And on top of that, we have to think about classroom atmosphere. Because if we have the right atmosphere, we can use that as a sort of discipline tool on top of other ways we have of working with teens. It can be a discipline tool, and I'll talk about exactly how to use that to your advantage. And then finally, and I think this is throughout the whole year, but you want to start the first lesson by giving value to your classroom activities. Teens do not want to be condescended towards. If they think you are treating them like children, they won't like it. And that's going to hurt the relationship and hurt everything that we just talked about, the classroom atmosphere and the relationships. So what sort of difficulties do you have with teens? Well, first of all, who here, can just write in the chat, does anyone here love working with teens? Awesome. We've got one so far. Awesome. Two. What about, is anyone worried about working with teens? Is anyone worried, nervous about it? Fair enough. Uh-huh. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think that a lot of the time, when people are worried about working with teens, it can really help to have an idea of structures that will be really helpful, of structures in looking at the relationship. When people are very good at working with teens, I think it's often something that you don't really think about. It's just something that is natural. You're good at this, and it's kind of hard to analyze on your own why you're good at it. And it's my job to think about, when I see a teacher who's great with teens, what is she doing differently? Because one of the things that I heard from a teacher who's good with teens is, that I really liked, was that she doesn't take things personally. She does not take it personally when teens are defiant. She understands that they're moody. Right? So when a teen ignores direct commands or requests, it could be defiance. It could be defiance. It could be meant to go against the teacher. When teens are silly in the lesson, it could be something that is going against the teacher, but not always. Not always. And taking everything personally will make life a lot harder, especially for those teachers who are always worried about working with teens. I mean, I had a teacher a few years back who would tell me, oh no, I have this teen class. And this teacher would always talk about this one student in the lesson, this one student in the lesson. Now, when the student wasn't there, she would be happy coming out of the lesson. Oh, the lesson was great today because, let's say, James wasn't there. James wasn't there. So, oh, it was a great lesson. Oh, James was there today. It was not a good lesson. And here's the thing. I talked to James. It wasn't because he was trying to be defiant against the teacher. He was trying to make the lessons a little more interesting for himself, for other people. It's not that he disliked the teacher or that he was trying to do something to hurt her. So my question is, how can we change that relationship? And at the beginning, how can we set up a relationship that will allow you to do what you need to do throughout the year? And this is one of the best things that I've ever read. The best things that I've ever read. This is about, oh, same situation in kids class. Interesting. Great. Well, that's the thing. One student, I'm answering a question from chat. So I had the same situation in kids class. Now, one student should not have control over the class in a way that is more powerful than what the control the teacher has. And how to establish that control, I like to look at it in terms of authority. And by authority, I don't mean you're the dictator. It's not authoritarian, where I tell you what to do and you do it, so there. Instead, it's authoritative. You give the students what they need and they follow you as a result. This comes from leadership theory, where this professor was looking at leaders from all of history around the world, and he asked, what is the common thread? What happens when things fall apart? What happens when things are great? Why do people follow a leader? And I see the teacher as a leader in the classroom. And he came up with this metric of authority. So authority is the trust that others have in you to deliver results consistently. So they will follow you because you have delivered results in the past. And that creates a relationship where if you tell them to do something, they will do it. It makes a huge difference. Now, there are two sources of authority, formal and informal. Let's brainstorm here. Formal authority. What is included in formal authority? What do you think? Oh, any ideas? Well, how about something like a degree? If you went to Harvard and you go to anyone in the world, there you go. You have authority. Academic achievements, 100%. If you have published papers, that's authority. What about when I go to a conference and I get a certificate? At my school, we have a wall where we just put up those sorts of certificates. Definitely. Yeah, we put up those certificates, parents see it, and they say, okay, yes, I'm in a good place. That is formal authority. We have from Victoria, upper position. So your position as a teacher, definitely your position as a teacher. Now, this is interesting. Experience, great point. But you don't have any. Now, here's the thing. Experience and age don't necessarily mean much. So I can hire a teacher who is like 55 from Canada, who doesn't have any experience, but he looks like a teacher. He's got the clothes, he's got the beard, a white beard, glasses. And then I can have a 25-year-old teacher who comes in, who has been tutoring people since she was 16. Who's going to have more formal authority in the eyes of the students? The older Canadian. Yes, exactly. The first one, the older Canadian. So age makes a difference. Status does as well. But it's always a balance. It's always a balance. And with formal authority, what's interesting is you don't have that much control over it. You come in to a classroom with a certain level of formal authority. If you work for a big, important university, you come in with a lot of formal authority because of that university position. Now, here's the thing. That's a great question from Olga. People might not see you as a teacher. They say they don't see you as a teacher because you're 23. Now watch this. I've always looked young. I've always looked young. So when I got my driver's license, I got a picture. And then later I had to renew my driver's license 3 years later. And they told me, they looked at the picture, they looked at me, they said, you look the same. And they didn't change the picture. So when we opened our school here in St. Petersburg, parents came in and they look at me, they think, who is this teenager trying to sell me English lessons? And that's not something I can change. That's not something I can change. That is understandable. But what I need to know is what authority I have in the eyes of others, especially when it comes to formal authority, because that is my position in the beginning. I can't control my formal authority easily. But what about informal authority? What are your ideas about informal authority? What does that come from? Any ideas for informal authority? Definitely. Report the weight of your words. Sense of humor. Yes. Personal traits. Like what kind of personal traits? Like openness, something like that? Because these are friendliness, great idea. And you know, another big one is fairness. Fairness. If you are unfair to your students, the way you treat the kids, yes, definitely. So if I punish a student and it seems like the punishment doesn't fit the crime, that hurts my relationship with them. If they tell me something and it doesn't look like I'm listening, that is a big problem. That's a big problem. So I observed a lesson with a teacher who was having trouble with students. She was having trouble with students, and it was pretty clear why. It was pretty clear, and I'll get to these other comments too. Those are great. Because when she asked the students follow-up questions, you could tell she wasn't listening. She just said things like, yes, very good, excellent. No eye contact, no sincerity in any sort of her follow-up. You can build informal authority by listening to your students, remembering what they say. Another thing, self-confidence, 100% from Galina there. Self-confidence. If I look nervous, and I tell teachers, especially young teachers, if you look nervous, it will hurt your authority, even if they don't know why they don't like it. So when I find someone who's nervous, they tend to kind of be small right there, maybe touch their neck more often. They kind of try to scrunch up their shoulders. So I say, sit up, spread out. You look more like you have more authority and you look more confident. If I'm nervous before a speech or anything like that, I always try to slow down and spread out. I slow down, I spread out. And then once my class gets going, once my speech gets going, it's fine. But you should have an idea of how you look to others in their eyes, and with students, especially when it comes to authority. Now, look, here are the ideas that I came up with beforehand. What do we have here? We have formal authority, your degree, your position, the institution where you work. That makes a difference. So when my school first opened, we were just some school. We were just something that opened nearby. Maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. But after years of delivering results, we now have more formal authority. So a new teacher coming to work for me 4 years ago had less formal authority than teachers coming right now, because they trust that teachers working at English Connection have a high level of authority. The institution makes a big difference. Age and recommendations as well. So if I have a corporate client I work with, and then they tell someone else that you should study with Tom, then you have formal authority within that relationship. Now, what you're talking about here, enthusiasm, interest in students and the lesson, respect for your students, that is all a part of informal authority. We have how you dress. I very consciously dress more formally than some of my teachers do because I know I look young. So I want to make a better impression when people walk in the door. Calmness as well. So if I forget what I'm talking about next in the speech, and if I'm just looking around and I panic, then my authority goes down. The same thing in the lesson. Posture, your reputation. Now, respect for your students, that has to do with showing interest. What I work on with teachers, I love this sort of activity. So when I train teachers at my school, I have a little pack that we go through. And part of that pack is, this is about building relationships with students. And part of that pack is talking about this yourself, like what hobbies you have, family members, just little things like that. And then at the end, we ask, okay, what are you comfortable about? What are you comfortable talking about? What are you comfortable speaking about openly with your students? If you say not family, don't talk about family. You don't have to. But choose some areas of your life that you're comfortable opening up about. And over time, that might change. So, for example, when I first started teaching, I talked a lot about guitars. Because I played guitar a lot. I had like 6 or 8 guitars at the time, 8 if you count bass guitar. And I would talk about it. And I just had this, I created a stereotype of myself that I love guitars and I'm obsessed with guitars. And then later on, I started talking about different things. For example, like now it will be more about, oh, all I do is work and I'm tired all the time. Maybe something like that. Or I'll talk about my dog, for example. Like I'll talk about my dog or something. And I'll stereotype myself actively, and that feels like I'm opening up, and that opening up encourages the students to open up. That is a level of informal authority that kind of creates a relationship without being too open where I'm not comfortable talking about it. And do the same with your students. I tell my teachers, stereotype your students. Stereotype them. I mean, especially if it's teens, you're not going to get much, but if they tell you something, remember it. If I know that my student Yvonne likes techno, I'll bring it up. It's Monday, first lesson of the week. I say, hey, Yvonne, what'd you do last weekend? Lots of techno, right? Nice. All right. Just dance, yeah. And I'll just do little things like that, and it will become inside jokes, and it builds a relationship. Now, that is about showing interest, and that is how to show interest. Remember things. If they ask you questions, remember to answer them next time. It's little things that make a difference and support your informal authority where you might not have formal authority. Now, I got a question here from Olga. What about clothes? What should a teacher look like? Well, here's what I say. What do your students think a teacher should look like? That's the main thing here. So if I go to a tech company where I'm going there tonight. So I'm covering for a teacher at a tech company. And if I go full suit and tie, dress pants, everything like that, and I go into this company, what are they wearing? Shorts and t-shirts. It's a very casual atmosphere. If I contrast too differently with them, they're not going to be as open with me. And I had a teacher ask me about this during the training that we had here last year. And it was, no, how should I dress? Do I dress correctly? And the answer really is, think about yourself in the eyes of your students. It depends. If you're going to a businessman, you're going to dress differently. It's just about being conscious about that. Be prepared. Look prepared. Set clear expectations for your students. Be consistent. Don't punish too far when things are not as bad as they seem. If, for example, they speak Russian during lessons and it bothers you, but you let it go on for 4 months and then you get angry about it, it's not fair. You have to be consistent and also honest. You have to be honest. So, particularly with my American teachers, this can be a problem because we are very positive. Too positive. So if everything's great all the time, what's the point of working? There's no point in working. I want to be honest with my students about their weaknesses and their strengths. And that means that my words, someone wrote earlier about the weight of your words in their eyes. If I'm honest about difficult things, I say, you know, this is difficult, but if you work hard, you can do it. And then they do it. And I say, hey, you know what? Excellent job. Great job. That was difficult before, much better. That right there supports my authority with my students. That is informal authority. And honesty plays a huge role in that. Now, here's the thing about authority. Understand where you stand, and it's your money. Authority is your currency when you work with students. That is what you spend. Because when you ask someone to do something they don't want to do, like let's say, for example, exam practice. We're going to practice for the exam today. How many students think, yeah, let's do this? Not many. I never did growing up at all. You know, I'm not excited about exams. So my students need it, but they're not going to enjoy doing it. When I ask them to do something that they don't want to do, or that's not easy for them, my authority goes down. But then if I show results, if their exam results are better, it goes back up, because it's that trust and I show them that growth. But here's the thing. If my authority goes down to a level, a critical level, at that point, there's no turning back. And authority tells me if it's possible to turn around a situation in the classroom. It's great. When a teacher has no authority with the students at all, either formal or informal, then the situation is over. Right? Like there's no turning it around. Now here's the thing. What about teens though? If you think about teens, do teens have more respect for formal authority or informal authority? Formal or informal? What do you think? Everyone is exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, if teens rebel, they rebel against formal authority. They're not going to look at you and say, oh, wow, you're old. You know, like when you're a kid, you look at a 16-year-old and you think, whoa, you're grown up. But when you're a teen, you look at a 30-year-old and you say, you're not better than me. You don't know more than I do. When you come into a teen class, expect that your formal authority is non-existent. And from the first lesson, start building that informal authority. If you can learn something from your students, learn it, remember it. If you come in after the first week and you don't know their names, your informal authority is down. Remember their names. It's just little things like that that will build a relationship with your teens. Don't expect formal authority to help you at all. Because, I mean, how many of your teens actually are really excited about English? Probably not a huge percentage. I mean, a lot, there are some, and those are the ones in the high level lessons. They're great to work with because they're enthusiastic about it. They're interested in it on their own. But most teens aren't that way. They're not unbelievably excited about working on this sort of thing. So what do your teens usually not like to do in learning English? A lot of what you might do, and at least they'll expect it coming into the first lesson. So you have to spend some authority to make them do what you want them to do, because that's part of learning. Learning requires effort. And you need to rebuild your authority after you spend it, and you can do that by doing those things we talked about, supporting your informal authority. Yeah. So we got right here, they don't like learning grammar. Yeah, of course. And another thing with that is they have seen it before probably. So if you go over something with them, they think, whatever, man, I know this. And they're not going to be happy about seeing the same thing again and again and again. So understand that you're going to need to do something specific to make them actually do what you want them to do. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. because that has to do with value in the lesson. They have to see the value. So with teens, you have to give, different games is a good idea too. With teens, you have to give honest feedback. You have to give honest feedback and be real with them about what sort of weaknesses they have and what they need to do to overcome those weaknesses. Answer their questions in a way that is sincere and honest. Don't lie, and listen to them and remember what they say, and be open with yourself as much as you're comfortable being open with yourself. Because in the classroom, you know, you want to have control. You want to have control, and you want to have control in a way that actually gives you tools for working with your teens without being overbearing, without being that dictator style figure, because that dictator is just going to get rebellion in the end. So when you think about the atmosphere in the classroom, what sort of atmosphere do you want? What do you think? You've got negative, positive, or neutral. What sort of general atmosphere? Okay, we got one, friendly. Yeah. We got a neutral there. Got another friendly. All right, so in general, we're leaning towards positive. Now, I say positive as well, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, because when you have a generally positive, I'm not talking about on the extreme where everything's amazing all the time, we're all great, we don't ever have to work. But if it's generally positive, you have a tool to get the attention of your students, especially when things aren't going so well. So it comes from this, my ideas about this come from this concept called loss aversion. So loss aversion is this idea that you are more afraid to lose what you have than you are excited to gain what you don't have. So just as an example, if I find $5 on the street, I'm happy. I'm happy. And I'm plus 10 happy points. $5, nice. Plus 10 happy points. But if I have $5 in my pocket at the beginning of the morning, then throughout the day it falls out, I'm minus 20 happy points. I'm more upset to lose something than I am happy about gaining that exact same thing. Now, what I use as an example for my teachers when to illustrate this point is this. If you have two parents and one parent is always yelling, how do the kids react when that parent gets angry? It's, oh, here we go again. It's just kind of standard. It's just what happens. But if the other parent is calm most of the time, reasonable, and then that parent gets angry, the kids, whoa, this is a big deal. There's a contrast that we can use with loss aversion. There is a shock value. So I work with my teachers on this, especially teachers who tell me, you know, I'm calm, I don't really get upset, because that situation that I told you about where the kids were smoking e-cigarettes in the lesson, I talked with that teacher. And it was clear that over time, he was too patient. He was too calm. He didn't get angry. Now, I don't think you have to be actually angry, but you should be sharp sometimes with your kids. And this worked for me in two very different situations that I'll tell you about right now. I had a group of upper intermediate kids, teens, upper intermediate teens. They were the best in the school where I was working. They were hardworking. They could speak really well. And one time things were getting a little bit crazy. And they were speaking too loudly. They weren't doing the activity the way I had told them to do the activity. And here's what I did. I said, hey, everyone stop, stop. Okay, close your books. I put that away, put that away. You know what? I want to have fun here. I want to have fun here. I want to have fun in the lessons. That's why I bring in this kind of activity. It takes me time to prepare this. Do you know what's easier for me? We could just take the book and go through it, exercise by page by page. I don't want to do that. I want to have a good time here. If you behave that way, we can't have a good time, all right? Okay. So I take 30 seconds and I make a little speech. So I go from positive to negative and then back to positive. And that shock value really gets their attention more. I did the same thing, same speech, but simpler language with a group that was elementary at a camp. So this is a camp. The kids are there. They want to have fun, and I'm supposed to teach English. So we're at the board. We're doing an activity at the board that's active, that's fun, and they're getting a little bit too wild. Same speech. I say, hey, everyone, sit down. Sit down. And I gave the same speech. I gave the same sort of speech, and then they're back on my side. And I always want to do that early, because when we talk about informal authority, it has to do with consistency. So if they are doing something wrong, I can be sharp and then come back. But you have to be able to go negative sometimes. And having a general positive atmosphere in the lesson gives you more power to make that contrast and get your students' attention. So loss aversion makes a big difference. So those are ways to establish a relationship with your teens where they will do what you ask them to do. They have your respect. They have your respect. You have their respect. So what makes teens enjoy a lesson? What do you think? Earlier, I saw about different games for grammar. What else? What do you think? Like when teens enjoy a class, why do they enjoy it? Excuse me. Now that personalization, I think, is interesting for sure, and relevancy. So having relevant content, that has to do with listening to them, paying attention. Definitely. What else? How about having friends in the lesson? Video or project, it can definitely, especially if you have, that can be motivating, a good project. So what I notice, leadership, yeah, I think so. Well, I think that kind of leadership coming from a position of authority makes a big difference. Values and trends. Now, I agree with you that can make a big difference. Their generation's values and new trends. I agree with that, but I also don't understand teens a lot of the time. You know, I just can't relate. So in that case, I'm honest about it, and I can build my informal authority. Like if I find a teen who likes soccer or football, I'm not a big fan of football, and I can kind of make fun of me being stupid about it, and that can create a good level of authority too. Friends, definitely. Being together, you absolutely need to contribute. I agree. So what we're talking about are things that work. We're talking about things that work in the classroom. Like being truly interested in their interests, being honest about something when you don't know something or are confused about something that they might like. Like I might ask, how do they miss so often in soccer? You know, the goal is the size of the house. Why would they miss so often? And I can create conversation that way and kind of create rapport where I'm the one who doesn't know something. That's completely fine. But the overarching theme here is value. I mean, when we talk about being united, being with friends, chatting, growing, creating a project, when it works with teens or with anybody, it has to do with providing value to teens. Don't waste their time. Don't waste their time. Because here's how I'm going to talk with teens. I'll say, you know what? This is my overall, this is how I look at it. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. And they need to trust that I want to use their time well, so what I do gives them value. And that means that when I have a presentation, I will do it very differently with teens compared to adults. With adults, I might have a wider conversation. that leads into a presentation with a context. But here's the thing with teens. If I start with that wide conversation and I start going in a certain direction and I lead to grammar, it might seem like I tricked them. And then when we get to the grammar, they might think, I already know this. I already know this, wasting my time. And they'll shut off. They won't pay attention. And and this is about honesty and authority as well. I'll say, yeah, you might know this. I bet you have seen this in school. And we can go over the presentation quickly. And I'll say, but you know what? You can't use it in your speech yet. You know it in theory, but you're not speaking with it. Your overall message is that I do not waste your time, and I have a reason for doing what I do. And explaining that reason is often very, very helpful. There needs to be value in what you provide to your teens, and they need to see that value. Because teens aren't kids. They don't want to be treated like kids, but they also aren't adults. And they don't know how adults think, feel, act. I mean, kids will play games. Who else will play games? Adults. Adults love games, but sometimes teens can be resistant to games, especially if you don't have the right level of authority with them. If you're coming in with a low level of authority, they might be resistant. And just like we talked about, they see it through the lens of someone who has probably studied English for a while. So they might think, I've done this before. This isn't worth learning. I don't need to pay attention to this. I know this. Think about how they will look at what you're doing and make sure everything you do has value. Everything you do. And that includes activities. Now, first lesson activities. I'm going to give you 3 today. 3 first lesson activities that I use every single time. Every single time. And the point of them is to show the teens that I am giving you something of value. This is something that is valuable to you. First, we've got this game I call Liar. Second, we've got a pronunciation activity. And third, a game called Convince, a speaking activity. Now, games, they're games, yeah, but they have a value behind them. They have a purpose. Now with Liar, I need to review tenses. At the beginning, I want to know how much they know, how much they don't know. I want to know what they use, what they don't use, how comfortable they are opening up. I need to review tenses in some way, but there are ways of doing it where the teens do the minimal. They do the minimal. So sometimes if I try some sort of basic ask and answer the questions, it'll be really simple answers. What did you do last summer? I went to the dacha. Did you have fun? Yes. I'm looking. What are your hobbies? Swimming. And then they're using the basic forms, and that's it. So I'm not really getting what I need out of the situation. I need to understand what they know, what they don't know, what they use, what they don't use, what they forgot, where their mistakes are. So I use this game called Liar instead. It's an easy tweak. We have a procedure here. Make the questions first. Check as a class, and then play the game Liar. And this is all so I can see what they're good at, what they're bad at. So let's start from the beginning. I'll start with something like this. What time did you wake up yesterday? What day was yesterday? Sunday. Nope, Monday. So yesterday, Monday, what time did you wake up yesterday? We make the questions. So we make 5 or 7 questions, always an odd number. You'll see why. And then we play the game. So we make the questions, we check them as a class. And so ask me, what time did you wake up yesterday? And then details. So yesterday I woke up at 6:30. It was Monday, so 6:30. Now, in the chat there, ask me details. Ask me details. Let's say 2 or 3 questions, minimum. I woke up at 6:30, yeah. I needed to go to work. I like to get to work early because there are when there are fewer people in the office, I can do things that I can't do when there are a lot of people here. I usually get up a little bit earlier, around 6 or 5:45. Yeah. But yesterday I got up at 6:30. So what do you think? Was that true? Is that true? My answer to the question. Seriously. Oh, you win. Why do you think no? Okay. So we got no and true. Okay. I already gave the answer away though. So here's the deal. If I tricked the class, if they say, yes, it's true, then I get a point because I lied. If they say, no, it's not true, they get a point. And we go through the questions this way. So first, it's me. Yeah, that's a good point. But Tatiana, I don't remember what day it is usually. So that's why I had to think. I couldn't remember if today was Monday. So yesterday I got back from Yaroslavl, so I got up on the train at like 7:30. So this activity gives a value to actually continuing the conversation. That's the difference. So when I say continue speaking, ask for details, there is a reason to ask for details. You have to find out if someone is lying or not. And if they trick you, they get a point. If you guess correctly, you get a point. And because there are 5 or 7 questions, somebody wins. That's liar. And this allows this allows me to put the students into small groups or pairs, and they speak, and I am able to go around the room and observe and really find out what I need to find out. What are they using? What are they avoiding? Liar, I always use first lesson. Then, pronunciation. Now, pronunciation is intonation. That's something that my students almost always need. They almost always need it. And it's a really good way to show value quickly and kind of change up the pacing of the lesson. So if my students do something that's inactive, exam writing for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to bring back up the energy of the classroom, of the lesson, of the atmosphere, I'm going to go to a pronunciation activity. But it can't be for no reason. So my students have to understand what their weaknesses are and the reason for it. So if my student goes abroad and they go to a hotel and they hear this question, what's your name? Will they ever hear, what is your name? No, it's what's your name? What's your name? So they have to practice hearing and saying these in ways that they'll actually hear it from people who speak very quickly. So it's not, what do you do? It's, what do you do? What do you do? So we'll practice these sorts of pronunciation activities and identify these sounds that are difficult for them, like tra. TR in English, we say tra. It's a nightmare. Dra, tra, dra, stra. So it's street. Now, in Russian, I'll just type right here in chat. There's sounds like that are really difficult for me. So, yeah, those sounds are difficult for me. So that a word like, let's say, I think I spelled that right. Those sorts of words, if I, how I hold my mouth and move, it's unnatural. It's entirely unnatural for me to speak that way. So I tell my teams, you have to work on those muscles. So first lesson, I tell them exactly that, why we're doing this. And then we do a practice activity. Now here's a poem that I made up to practice some of these sounds. So we have, Trey tried tricking me while Sally simply watched. This grave injustice cannot stand or pass to go untouched. That stinky Sally needs to feel the fallout of her deed. Her giggles echo in my head. Her face was filled with glee. She should watch her applesauce at lunch, just to be sure. Ensure no pepper falls in there to make the sauce impure. Now, and then it goes on. And most of all, that traitor Trey will have no trial at all. His tricky trap will bite right back and he will have a fall. His sleepy slobber slimes the desk I tie his shoes together. He will feel the guilt sink in when he trips over leather. So this is made to work on those difficult sounds. Trey tried tricking me, and Sally simply. I'm emphasizing these things that will be a little bit different for the students, will be awkward. Look, the third line there, fall out of her deed, fall out of her deed. If you're going to say that in the rhythm of the poem, then you have to speak naturally. My students need that sort of practice. And we go through this and we work on intonation, we work on rhythm, we work on pronunciation, and they understand the value of it. And I can praise them. First I've got lyre, then I've got pronunciation, then I have an open speaking practice. Now what's the problem with a lot of speaking practices? There's no purpose to it. I need an activity that will actually make my students speak. And I usually do this activity called convince. So student A has a card, student B has nothing, but they have to resist the request of student A. So I have a situation like this. Hey, can you lend me a few dollars? No, I can't. Why not? It's just a couple bucks. I need to take a bus home. No. You can't help me? I just need to take a bus. I'll pay you back next lesson. The conversation continues. So I can have a small situation like that or a big one. Can I stay at your house for a few weeks just until the police stop looking for me? No. Come on. Just a little while. Well, what did you do? Why are the police looking for you? The conversation continues because of that sort of gap, that little bit of conflict. So in my first lesson, I use that sort of speaking activity that makes them understand the need for communication so that there's value in continuing speaking in the activity so that I, the teacher, don't have to go around the room and say, okay, keep speaking, keep talking, 2 more minutes, come on, keep talking. They will talk on their own because there's value within the activity. So the first lesson, I want to establish a fruitful relationship, and I want to show that I provide value in every activity that I have. Think about authority that you establish, especially informal authority with teens, that you'll use throughout the year. Establish that positive atmosphere, and you can further strengthen your informal authority by working on with activities that are actually great that the students see the value of and explain that value. So those activities, we have pronunciation, lyre, and convince. They're yours. So I made a lesson plan. You can email me. You can email Yulia as well or Trendy, and you will get this lesson plan. You'll get this lesson plan with these activities and where to get them. And you'll have great first lessons. You'll have great first lessons. My time is up. But you know what? It's a lot of fun. I love this sort of thing. So thank you for being with me for this time. And I will pass on to the next speaker.
So thanks, Tom. Here is your link. Yes, what you given to me. So please take it. Thanks a lot. So bye. У меня прям буквально для всех одно объявление, даже два. Про Артема Морозова, который в это воскресенье будет в Перми в рамках Trendy English Академии представлять свой тренинг. Поэтому, если вы из Перми не знаете об этом, проходите по нашей ссылке и регистрируйтесь. И второе, сегодня у нас сейчас будет не последнее выступление, а после Екатерины Чегновой в час будет еще 15-минутное выступление от Владислава Тищенко. Он расскажет о том, как подобрать самый интересный материал для учеников. Так что вы не расходитесь, рассчитывайте, что вы до часу 15 чуть-чуть задержитесь. А сейчас давайте все-таки до 12 отдохнем и в 12 ровно начнем. А пока Екатерина выйдет на связь, чтобы мы проверили, что все здесь хорошо работает. Так, Екатерина, вы здесь? Если здесь, подключайтесь. Так, сейчас попробую поискать карту.
Так. Здравствуйте.
Так,
Цвет было подальше.
да, немножко, да, чтобы было лучше видно, чтобы не против света. Вот, все.
Ну, это просто проверить связь, да, что все
Да,
нормально?
сейчас пока проверим, 5 минут, чтобы все работает. У вас чат подключен, да, сверху. И давайте сразу, может быть, откроем презентацию, чтобы она загрузилась.
Давайте. То, что я вам прислала, чат вижу. Так, и что там надо у нас сделать, чтобы он показывался?
Чтобы чат показывался, он у вас отдельным окошком?
Да.
Ну все, ничего больше не надо, вы можете делиться экраном.
То есть я все-таки на своем показываю, да, презентацию?
Да, вы презентацию загружаете, и она у вас, потом вы делитесь экраном.
Угу. Сейчас. Так. Угу. Так, и делимся экраном. Демонстрация экрана, да? То есть вот куда-то чат единственное мне, вот он не очень нравится. Вот так, да, как-то?
Так, ну, вы скажите, все ли у вас хорошо? Потому что я-то все хорошо вижу, и вас, и вашу презентацию, и чат. Видите ли вы чат?
То есть чат вам не виден, да, как пользователю?
Нет, он не виден, и вам должен быть виден.
Просто он, видите, мешает просмотру.
А вы его отодвиньте чуть-чуть, он же двигается.
Вот так, например, да?
Ну, у каждого свой, чат не идет в запись, поэтому каждый его двигает, как ему удобно.
Угу. Угу. То есть вот как-то так тогда. Так. Ага.
Все листается, все
Да,
хорошо.
все листается, все хорошо, да. Угу.
Ну, давайте тогда, Екатерина, ровно в 12 вы начинаете, да, через 4 минуты.
12, не в 12:10.
Нет, 12:10.
В целом-то уже, мне кажется, тогда можно и не выключаться.
Ну да, все,
3
вы
минуты
через
осталось.
3 минуты можете подключаться, начинаем.
Так, пока остановить тогда, и после этого нажимаю подключиться, да?
Да.
Угу, хорошо. Так, я нажала остановить. А я еще тут? Я вроде бы еще тут. I'm here. English, okay. So I seem to be ready. How about everybody else? It's already 12. Yeah, 12 noon as we planned. Ready? Okay. Great to hear. Oh, great. So, do you see my screen? Is it okay? Okay. So let's start then. And you see the topic of our lecture today. It is concerning first business English lesson. And let me introduce myself to you first. So my name is Екатерина Чегнова, and I'm a teacher of business English and co-founder of StarTalk Language School. And I've been, let's say, teaching business English for many years so far, but also I'm working as an academic director. And just to show you like the idea why I'm really doing that a lot, because we have approximately, now it's already almost 29,000 students in StarTalk in Moscow. And business English is really popular. So we have a great demand on business English courses. And every time I face certain difficulties in preparing, preparing teachers to be able, no presentation. Okay, just a sec. Let me go back. Yeah. Yeah, do you see it now? Okay, just because before that you like seemed to confirm. Yeah, so that's me, right? You can see it now here and there. And working as an academic director, I know most common challenges which teachers are facing when they're only about to take up business English courses. They have some doubts. They understand that it's not the topic that they've been covering, and they don't know exactly what to teach, whether they should teach business or whether they should teach regular English. And that's why on a regular basis we organize certain business trainings. And especially after, if we speak about my experience, I took MBA course, MBA executive degree. Of course, I started, to treat the language differently, and I started to train teachers differently. So the idea for me now is to share with you my expertise, my experience, the way I do it when I hold group classes or individual classes aimed at business audience. Let's say we will try to meet their expectations or even exceed their expectations. So could you please tell me, let's say, could you please put pluses, those of you who are already teaching business English on a regular basis, and minus if you feel certain doubt, if that's not exactly the area you are, let's say, working on. Maybe you are oriented more, let's say you work more with kids and stuff. Oh, okay, I see that there are a lot of people who for now do not have like really big experience in it. I see. Okay, so that's good. So what regular excuses, let's say, what very often, what I hear very often from my teachers, young teachers who are only about to start their career in teaching business English, that they are so afraid that they have not enough vocabulary, that they are not professionals, that they are not involved in this business activity. Yeah, they have no negotiations. They basically do not how they can teach people, who are much more experienced than they are. And so that is something that really scares them. What else I hear very often? I hear that, if I take business English, it's gonna take me too much time to prepare. I prefer regular English, something that I already know. So sometimes people, teachers, they are reluctant to take on some new courses to like open up some new opportunities. But I can tell you for sure that business English classes, they are paid more. So in most cases, if you're able to teach professional English skills, and we're going to talk a little bit later, what should this business course include? Yeah. So if you do that, your price on the market is higher. And this is not just my experience, but this is the experience of all our 29,000 students. So students who buy business courses, they are automatically ready to pay more. So that's why I do believe that it's a good idea to develop this skill and, well, to be able to increase your value, right? Why not? So, and let's say the most daunting topic is how to combine. How you can combine these so-called soft skills trainings. Now this word soft skill is so popular everywhere. Have you heard this word before, soft skills? Also, can you put, yeah? Maybe there is somebody who is unfamiliar with this term. Yeah, because it's more about business. So soft skills in business English, this means that basically you are not just teaching people to speak well or to know the grammar well, what we usually do when we teach them regular English, right? But we teach them soft skills that can be easily applied to their real business life. So what do you think usually is involved or is meant by this idea, soft skills, if we speak about business English? Maybe you have some ideas. So what is soft skill? What are the popular soft skills for business course? How do you think? Communication, well, that's pretty much general term. Can you be more precise, please? What's meant? Okay, making a speech. So when you have to influence your audience, when you have to maybe persuade them, yeah? Creating a CV is pretty practical. Not sure that it's a soft skill though, because usually you do it once, yeah? Self-presentation, sure, thank you. Negotiations, exactly, yeah? So that's what I mean. If we consider, let's say, old school books, and I'm gonna speak about that a bit later, soft skills were not really well covered, and that was a big problem. People used to learn so many new words, 200 new words out of one article from The Guardian or God knows where, yeah? But when they faced a real customer or a real business partner, they couldn't utter a word. And in this case, the business course is actually not very successful. If your student can't say a word, even on a low level, when he or she meets a business partner, that means that, we are leading him or her in a little bit wrong direction. So the question is, but does it mean that if we train soft skills, we should neglect grammar? We should forget about vocabulary, yeah? So how to combine this, let's say proportionally, yeah? How to let them make mistakes, but on the other hand, make them improve, grow up, yeah? To become, let's say, more professional, to be able to open up. And let's say also you are increasing your value, but you help your students to increase their value and their cost, yeah, their cost on the market, labor market. So let's move on to preparation steps. So it's really my version. I'm not saying that it is something unique, but because I've been doing it and I keep doing it, I'm just sharing what I usually do when I'm about to begin. So number one thing, I always double check the level. I never trust even my own coordinators because, not because they are wrong, but because sometimes the person during his first test may actually show either higher or worse performance than he actually is able, The thing is that business English is not exactly as regular English. And the idea here is that you are supposed to actually take one level down, if you know what I mean. So you are supposed to take one level down if the student has upper intermediate level, let's say strong B2, you are supposed to go one level down. That's the rule, yeah? But Anyway, double check. Before understanding what book you're about to take, have some options, okay? So have some options at hand. And if you can double check speaking skills, listening skills, and the way the person reads and just his grammar, right? Do that during your first lesson, or at least first, let's say 15 minutes, just to make sure that you've taken the right decision. Because sometimes we really face the situation where our teachers or our methodologists, without seeing the real people, choose the book, which is, for example, B2+, and later on, month later, according to the test results, they understand that the group is too weak for that, yeah? And like, why wasting 1 month? So that's the point. Number 2, and it's extremely crucial, that is to prepare your own elevator pitch. Your own elevator pitch. And do you guys know what it means? So what is an elevator pitch? I'm sure that somebody does, but again, it's more about business term, yeah? Yeah, so I see that somebody doesn't. The idea of elevator pitch, and this is something your business English course must include, it's a must-have, absolutely. So elevator pitch, this is your self-presentation, which lasts not more than 60 seconds. The idea, yeah, not exactly, not about developing, no. Look, the idea is that when you are when you are entering elevator, yes, and just a sec, I see that I forgot to switch off my Skype. The idea is that when you enter the elevator with a person you do not know, you have only approximately 60 minutes, yeah, while the elevator is going up or down. And you have this 60 seconds, sorry, not minutes, of course, seconds, to introduce yourself in such a way that you interest your interlocutor, that your interlocutor is not bored and really would like to get to know you more, would like to get acquainted with you. So the way the teacher pronounces this elevator pitch, actually it's a big step to a success or a failure. Sometimes we had a situation when, for example, a group of businessmen, we sent a teacher, of course, we told about dress code and so on, some obvious things, but the teacher just, said your name, I'm Kate. Okay, let's start. Unit number 1. And unfortunately, it ended up in failure. Why? The thing is that when you have audience, let's say people whose time costs a lot of money, they want to understand that they are not wasting their time right now. And this first impression is something they are also, they are basing on, yeah? And that's why the elevator pitch, which is, as I said, about 1 minute, it should be bright, colorful, covering your experience. You do not have to lie if you are rather young and if it's, let's say, your new start, your fresh start in business English, but definitely you need to refer to your previous relevant experience, that you are ready to, maybe you're a quick learner, maybe you are ready to scrutinize the vocabulary and you are there to help them, yeah? So a lot depends on the way you are, you pronounce and you present your elevator pitch. Later on, this point that all your students from your business group must be able to deliver elevator pitch, this is a must-have, as I said. So your job is to, let's say, give them this opportunity, and they are not supposed to be doing it to themselves or to you only, but actually they are supposed to be facing the audience, yeah? So there will be a little bit more about this elevator pitch in order to help you to understand what are the, let's say, components of this elevator pitch, step by step. And facilitator regime. This one is my favorite one. And it was so hard for me because, I'm probably you can feel it even now that I'm all over the place all the time. I'm very energetic, but in business English, energy is not the only factor. Why? Because these are the people with their own expertise, with their own great deal of experience, and they need you to be just a facilitator. Do you know this idea of facilitator regime? I'm sure most of you do, because like if you teach, you definitely use certain skills. I learned this regime, this facilitator regime from MBA. So do you know? No. Anybody else? Are you familiar with it? Facilitator regime? Yeah, so I will say a few words. What's the idea? The idea is that when you are teaching business English, you are not kind of saying, great job, oh, amazing, oh my God, well done, Peter, you're amazing. So you're not being the one telling them whether they are wrong or right. And you are the one just gathering different opinions. You are the one trying to make them talk, generate ideas, trying to make them suggest something. And there are different ways how you can do that. For example, simple method is that you write out all ideas for a certain topic without judging them. That's very crucial. You know, teachers like to be this way, to be encouraging all the time. Oh, thank you, that's amazing. Thank you, great. Oh no, I think that doesn't fit. So nothing like this. You write down all ideas you hear from your group, and then you make them vote what, for example, they have to choose, let's say, only 2 options out of this 12 that you wrote on your whiteboard, yeah? And you do not take part. You don't vote. And that's why you let the group decide themselves, let's say, what they're going to do first, what they're going to do next. And for business people, this is crucial, that they feel that they just keep the situation under their control. Not you are controlling, especially if you are new, if you are just, you know, only starting. That's kind of weird if you just say, okay, first we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this, questions, yeah? So this is not facilitator regime, this is vice versa. And you can find out more about facilitator regime if you just actually Google it the way it is, because it is pretty popular for trainings. So you do not just teach and push, but you provoke them to give ideas and vote themselves what they do. And you just observe, yeah? You just help, that's it. So that's why I do believe that facilitator regime in teaching is one of the most successful strategies you may have. Okay, let's keep going. The books, yeah, the books I started with when I only began my career. Well, I began my career a little bit earlier, but exactly business English I started to teach in 2008. And exactly in those years, we were mostly speaking about market leader, of course. It was dominating the market. Intelligent business was my favorite, and I still love it, by the way. But it is exactly, if we speak about vocabulary, it does have a lot of words. So I always check what my group wants or my individual student wants. So whether the person, for example, already has a great command of English and he really needs business lexis a lot, then it's great, you know, to give him good articles and stuff. But sometimes the situation is the opposite. The person just needs English for his job. Maybe he's a sales manager, maybe he's a, I don't know, supply manager, whatever, and he needs English, practical English. In this case, these books are kind of too slow. They are too slow in giving progress. And that is why I basically now I'm mostly focusing on business partner. This is the one. Here you see only one level, B1+. Now I'm also taking B2+. Just B1+ was the first to appear on the market. Previous year, it's really new. It's, it was published not so much time ago. And the thing is that it really focuses on soft skills. Soft skills are everywhere. Project work and the ability to choose between different options. Always they try to initiate the class to take their own decision. Again, not you must be guiding, but the book is basically guiding you. And giving some fresh examples from modern business, from different companies' hierarchies, from different, tall, flat, different types of organizations, systems of reporting. That is so educating, and it is interesting, again, for young teachers, because they do not have to know much before that, but they have a lot of space to to Google it and to prepare, I mean, some additional information. But even if they don't, they're not gonna fail, because the book is like guiding, as I said, the group itself. So, but again, not enough vocabulary, not enough. If your students are after vocabulary, like something interesting, some real lexis, I would go for in company in this case. In company 3, this is, let's say, some substantial, I would say, book, yeah, with both soft skills and vocabulary. Yeah, I'm not a big, let's say, expert in many books. As you can understand, I'm combining administrative work of academic director and teaching. So that's why, due to lack of time, I'm not familiar with too many trends. So I'm showing you the ones, 3, and market leader again. If we speak about vocabulary, in my opinion, it has the richest variety of words, synonyms, adjectives, verbs, and stuff. So I'm not familiar with the one you're asking, Irina, I'm sorry. Okay, then let's move on, yeah? Soft skills that, in my opinion, must be covered during your business English course, yeah? First of all, the first soft skill, which nobody mentioned, by the way, at least maybe I missed it, but this is small talk, guys. And small talk, well, this is my topic, which I'm teaching now everywhere, different conferences for top managers, conferences for personal assistants, for recruiters. Why? Because this is something Russian people simply do not understand. And when they're even speaking good English, they do not know how to run small talk. And that means, I don't want to be rude, but that means that they're like losers in cross-cultural communication. Because when they find themselves, let's say, at a conference, and they are acting in this Russian style, they do not take part in normal networking. They do not make contacts in the way they should, you know. And that's why small talk is the art that must be additionally trained during business English. And sometimes it is equally hard for those who have upper intermediate level and for those who have pre-intermediate level. Sometimes students with pre-intermediate level show better skills in small talk than students with great English. Do you know why? Because sometimes people with great English, they are a bit snobbish. They're like, I'm a linguist, I'm amazing, yeah? And small talk, well, that's kind of boring or stuff. And your job as teachers of business English to explain that the one who has higher level in cross-cultural communication actually has to accommodate. Actually, even if your level is higher, you're supposed to go one level down in order to, let's say, make yourself understandable to your interlocutor. Really, that is something that, let's say, my teachers sometimes do not understand. They think that it should be, let's say, it should be about amazing English, but in business, it's not anymore, yeah? We're teaching them to be skilled, professional, quick, fluent, and let's say sociable, yeah, not snobbish. That's why small talk, it's a must. In Business Partner, there is a special section for that. I really liked it. Self-presentation plus pitching. So self-presentation was mentioned. That's why I guess that it is familiar for most of you. And this is very close to elevator pitch that I've just mentioned. So you teach them, and you know, sometimes your business audience can be like, I know how to present myself. Don't push me, okay? So, and in this case, of course, you are supposed to challenge them and to be like, okay, please, can you teach the group? Yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can present yourself. Could you please show? Yeah, could you please set an example? And you know, very often when these people try to present themselves for the first time in English, they start mumbling, stumbling, they forget to say their name, they forget to name their company, they forget to say their area, and I will show you the example of, let's say, rather bad self-presentation later. And you, of course, you are not supposed to be a judge, bad, good, but you are supposed to give them some skills and, of course, to ask for the audience's feedback. By the way, one also important thing, I think I forgot to put it on the slide, but I will tell you. It's about how you assess the performance of your current students, yeah? So for example, they made their elevator pitch, yeah? So you ask your group, so what did you, I usually ask two questions. What did you like about Mike's self-presentation? First question, what did you like, yeah? And how do you think, how can I ask about negative, about drawbacks? Can you suggest me some variants? Like, how can I ask about something that is not so cool, maybe? I'm waiting for your variants. So how did you like Mike's presentation? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Yes. What can be? Uh-huh. So how did you like Mike's presentation? Yeah, to be honest, who was it? Irene, I guess. You just really, it is exactly my question. What can be improved? That's what I usually say. What can be improved? I'm not naming, I'm not mentioning any weaknesses or drawbacks, because that can be a bit painful for business audience. They never like to be the last. They like to be leaders, yeah. And that's why you just show them the area of their growth, of improvement, and this helps. And sometimes they are so grateful for the audience's feedback more than even for your feedback. Because again, if you are new, if you are not professional in this area, they don't care that much about your professional expertise, but they do care about the feedback from colleagues who are on their level, you know? That's why what can be improved is my number 2 question. Then networking and following up. You must teach them how to take part in these international conferences, because the statistics show that when a Russian person travels abroad and takes part in an international conference, he or she brings back about 2 or 3 contacts, which again they find most useful, and they try to work with these contacts, and they are, you know, so happy. And foreign colleagues, they bring back about 70 contacts, and they do follow up correctly. They do email follow up. They use templates for that. And later on in cross-cultural communication, they're supposed to be much more successful. So this idea is covered in my professional course, because I can't it's about an hour and a half, because we really split it, you know, step by step. We explain so it's much, we explain it step by step thoroughly, what you do, how you do this networking, and especially how to follow up, how to sort out the contacts into highly important, important, and just contacts. Yeah, but just contacts shouldn't go just to your trash bin. Yeah. They should also be sorted out. And it's also a great idea to teach your business students how to be professional networkers on international arena, on international level, not just locally. I always like this case that sometimes our stereotypes that, for example, if we have people, high positions from big state-run companies like RZD or VTB, and Russian people, they like to say this name of the company, and they think that international audience gonna be shocked and blown away. Yeah, like my student from RZD, he went to an international conference, and he said, you know, I told them that I'm from RZD, I'm a top manager from RZD, and there was no reaction. I said, really? In Holland, no reaction for RZD? I think you simply scared them with this name, because nobody ever knows what's that. Yeah, so such things, you know, after such failures, they think that something is wrong with their English. But the reality is that it has nothing to do with their English. It has something to do with business skills. And that's the point. So you teach them to just follow the interlocutor. Yeah, you teach them Miro principle in cross-cultural communication and stuff like that. Mirror principle also works in number 4 point, which is business correspondence. It's really an old-fashioned approach to teach students only formal style. And I was taught like that about 12 years ago. I remember my business correspondence course, and it was only formal style. My letters were like, I don't know, like court settlements, you know? And that also may scare our interlocutors, and that's why you explain the diversity of different means. And you don't say that spoken English in correspondence is only for streets. No, because nowadays it's all around the world. People use in intranets short versions, abbreviations, and it's strange to use only formal style because you think it's better for business. And I know that such cliches, such just delusion, maybe even I can say, it exists among teachers, even not even mentioning the students. Definitely your job as a teacher of business English to cover cultural diversity, and thank God our books help us a lot. They give us, I mean all business books actually in this case, so they give us articles about different body language, about different gestures, about different business conventions. And I do love that, you know. Only when I started to teach that, I actually started to feel that, to absorb it. And I think that's why each of us, at least once in our life, must try this course just for our own growth, you know. And of course, negotiations, and this was mentioned. I do believe that, again, when we speak about negotiations, even if a person's level is rather low, if it's business, yeah, business course, we must teach this person, if we speak about individual classes, how to enter negotiations and how to exit. So it's okay to attract some interpreters' help, yeah, it's okay. But when you have your visitors, and let's say you are a host, I believe if you are a professional businessman, you can't afford to say nothing. You have to say, hey, nice to meet you. Welcome to my company. We are so happy to have you here. Please follow me. Let me show you around. So some cliches, yeah? And that's why, again, business English, of course, we say that the level required should be intermediate or at least high pre-intermediate. But the reality is that sometimes when we get individual requests, we also can help these people. We can help them to act appropriately in these business situations. We can teach them cliches, yeah, about what you need to do on each step. And this will help them a lot. Okay, they will not learn English. They will not be able to hold negotiations, but they will be able to act professionally again. They will start, they will finish, and then they will say, sorry, now I will move to Russian. Yeah, and they will hold professional talks with the help of interpreter. Okay. Okay, so as I promised, I'm going to show you part of self-presentation, the way I usually teach my audience, the way I usually teach my students and my teachers too. So what do we do? And first, let's check the example. So please take a look. This is the example right here. I hope you see it. Yeah. Please, can you give me your comments whether it's a good self-presentation or not, or like plus, minus, and so on. So basing on the information I've just provided to you, could you please give me your thoughts? I will probably voice it, yeah? My name is Maria. I'm personal assistant to CEO of Central Bank, Russia. Too short, plus, minus, nothing to interest your audience, thank you. Anything else? Maybe some pluses. No surname, no last name, you're right. Well, maybe sometimes it's irrelevant, but I agree. Actually, according to business practice, you are supposed to give your last name. Yeah. Informal. Hi. It is too informal. Well, how do you know, guys? How do you know who is she talking to? Maybe it is some kind of after party after some conference. Maybe it is a 5-minute break during training. Do you really believe you should say something like, good afternoon? Or what else? I can't even recall. So hi in business culture nowadays is actually pretty common, I would say. Well, thank you very much for your ideas. If we take the timer, actually you're going to see that it's not more than 15 seconds. And that's the other side of the coin here. The thing is that when you are presenting yourself in a too short way, it is also, like you said, not enough. There is nothing there is nothing memorable. There is nothing memorable. And if your students and your teachers are presenting themselves like that, hi, my name is Kate, I'm a teacher of business English. Actually, probably that's what I did today. But no, I showed you also my school and my MBA degree, so I tried to add, something, but I still think I'm really still working on that. When I'm nervous, sometimes I forget to say my name. I'm serious. I can be like, hey, I'm a teacher, blah, 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 and I forget my name, my school, whatever. So spontaneous elevator pitch is very rarely professional. That is why I believe that every student must have a piece of paper where he or she writes this elevator pitch and is always ready, even in the middle of the night, to wake up and actually be able to present, this. So what should be added to this self-presentation in order to make it memorable? Ideas. What can we add? The lady said her name, profession, company, not bad. What else? What else can be added? Some background. Thank you. Maybe any more ideas? Some responsibilities. Yeah, the area. Yeah, because personal assistant, it's actually not clear for many of us. Yeah, what does this job involve? Exactly. Yeah, so sometimes which are the things that we purpose, like why she's here. Yeah, true. Sometimes when we take something for granted ourselves, yeah, like for example, sometimes when we we are sure that everybody knows who is an accountant, everybody knows who is a teacher, but it's not true. Actually, pointing out the reason you are here, yeah, and pointing out your responsibilities definitely going to add your elevator pitch value. Well, I'm the best personal assistant. This is already something that can sound a bit arrogant, yeah, but if you think so, why not? So let's see, yeah, let's see what are the questions, yeah, what are the questions to be covered? And this is not my, let's say, imagination. This is taken from MBA theory, and this is something we practiced a lot for 4 days. It was an offline module, totally based on networking, and so it was. Oh, I had so many revelations. Even after teaching for so many years, I really understood that I kind of lacked those skills. So you say that what you need to cover, yeah? What do you do, or what does your company do? RGD is not telling your your international partners anything, because they are not involved in Russian reality. Central bank, okay, maybe, but still, yeah? So that's why you are supposed to say the area of your company. And it's better not to be extremely boring, but to say something like, yeah, we are helping customers to move all across Russia every day, and we transport more than God knows how many thousands, yeah, I can't even imagine the figure, people every day, for example, yeah? So you definitely prepare this part. Then, what problem do you solve? You mentioned responsibilities, but my trainers told me that it's not enough just to say, I'm responsible for report, blah, again, boring, yeah? You try to say, what problem do you solve for your company? Let's say, I help my company to show great results in accounting. I help my company to cut the budget. Who knows, yeah? So try to answer this question, and your students must try that, yeah? So they must try to answer this question themselves. Then, how is your product or service unique? There are so many schools in Moscow, in Russia. There are so many teachers. There are so many specialists, sales managers, and many companies providing services. How is it unique? And, you know, it's a real question for consideration. Sometimes the answer is not obvious, and people will be grateful to you that you asked them this question. And that's why it's a business course, because they are supposed to, you know, to grow, not only linguistically, but professionally. And so when you tell them, when you ask them these questions, sometimes it's like, no idea, or, you know, it's really not obvious very often. What is unique? You need to sit and think. You need to maybe start brainstorming, and people will be like, 2 minutes left. I just saw some sign. What is it? 2 minutes left. So people will be like thinking, and later on the final variant they will put on the paper, and again it will be there, and they will be grateful to themselves, to you, that you provided them with this opportunity. And the last question, which is already also a question for networking, which is very good, that their presentation and your presentation must not contain only your achievements, but it must show the audience how they can help you, how you can help me. And that is not typical. So during your first lesson, of course, you ask everybody, what's your name? Could you say a few words about yourself? Could you say this? Could you say that? And very often it's really like a routine thing. I'm Pavel, I'm IT. I'm Maya, I'm financial, I'm accountant. And like, you do not, as a teacher, you do not provoke them with anything else. But the thing is that you are the one. Remember, you are the facilitator, so you are the one asking them questions. Okay, what's unique about you? Yeah? What problems do you solve, guys? Come on, you don't know? I'm a personal assistant. I'm right hand of my boss. I'm always there for him. I'm ironing his jacket. Really, you do? So, and you know, this usually provokes very interesting discussion, very interesting brainstorming during the first lesson, and people understand that they really need these lessons with you, because they have a chance to get like so many eyes and to really grow, to challenge themselves, because very often people first have this skeptical approach. I'm not gonna speak about myself, I'm Pavel and this is enough. But you are like, you know, by asking these questions, you help them to look at themselves from like another perspective, and to see that there is some area for improvement. There is. I really believe that kind of nobody is perfect, if you know what I mean. Because if we present ourselves, sometimes we may understand that we forget this, and this. Okay, that's the way it looks. Yeah, that's the way it looks. State your name, place yourself. Yeah, place yourself. It should be relevant. Relevant background, so you do not say I have a dog if it's a business English class, yeah, but you do say, you may say how many years you've been involved in business area, or at least in teaching area. So you should give your audience relevant background, and they must be able to do the same. If they start speaking about dogs, you can help them by asking the audience like, so was it really relevant? The fact that he has a dog, everybody will be like, not really. So don't try to judge yourself, but of course provoke discussion. All the time provoke discussion, yeah? So interest, goals, true. Somebody mentioned this, purpose. Why are you here? So let them and make them actually say that out loud. I want to learn business English because I want to grow in my career. I want to move up my career ladder. Clear, achiever, high flyer. I'm here just because my company paid for me and you know I don't care. Okay, clear. So let them say why they are there, yeah? So ask them, why are they there? And finally, as we discussed before, it should be about your contribution. So make them think, what is the thing they're ready to contribute to your class, to each other, to you as a teacher and tutor for free? And you know, it's really funny. I know it sounds strange for Russians especially, but this is what differs us from the whole community, that when we are all about us. You know, my trainer, for example, during my first session told me, Kate, you have dollars in your eyes. You speak and sell all the time. It's annoying. I was like, what are you talking about? It was really offensive to me. But what he meant, that when I'm saying, hi, my name is Kate, I'm a teacher of business English, I'm an academic director of Start Talk Language School, come to me, come to me, come to me. Nobody wants to, you know, actually. So that's why the idea of self-presentation and business course is that they say, you know, I like traveling around Italy. If you guys want to know something about some restaurant in Italy, please ask me. Feel free to ask me. Yeah. So some information, some things you're ready to share, and that's gonna make your speech memorable. That's what people will remember about you. You know, not that you are the best teacher in the world or the best student or whoever the best, because it's controversial, right? It may actually cause the opposite reaction, but something like this. So contribution, it is, again, the area that you can brainstorm about. You can generate some ideas, what can be the contribution you're ready to share. But usually it's really interesting. This activity is very interesting, and students are usually very, very grateful for that. Yeah. So this is an example. How long? And this is a 1-minute talk, which you see right now on your screen. So that's approximately how long the talk should be. So, I mean, if they type or if they write, it's about 1 to maximum 3 sentences for each of these 5 points. That's how you can measure, yeah, because sometimes, okay, if you speak so slowly, yeah, maybe 1 minute is just your name. I am la la la. So that's approximately what it should look like with regards, with contribution. And so today, for example, my contribution is to teach you, yeah, how to excel your business communication skills. And as well, why? Remember, I mentioned that the teacher must prepare his or her elevator pitch, because when you start, you also should show your contribution. Not I'm here because I'm paid for that, yeah? But I'm here because I really want to help you guys to grow. I want to help you to be on the next level in your international career, you see? Yeah, so that's approximately what you do. And exactly here, you can help them with the vocabulary. So I'm not saying that our job is so different from regular teachers, business English teachers. Of course, you do help them. And in my presentation, which I hope you're gonna get, yeah, because I'm fine with it. So you just give them dyslexia, you see? For each step, you show them how they can deliver it in a beautiful way. So vocabulary for each section, yes, each one you help them, you practice. And here already I'm not going to teach you, because I'm sure that you have so many techniques and methods that, let's say, I'm not aware of, absolutely. So that's what you do, yeah? And after you do this, yeah, definitely get them practice. Give them tasks. You must give your self-presentation to 3 people, and you need to prepare a report on their reaction. So without practice in real world, unfortunately, it's so-so, yeah? So business people must be ready for practice, must be ready. It's only through practice you are growing, because business, it's a lot about hands-on experience. But again, of course, the language, it's everywhere like that. But such skills, they always must have this, let's say, real feedback, yeah? Real feedback from colleagues and from their people. Okay, and probably the last thing, the principles which I'm promoting during business English courses. And again, I believe, thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate it. Yeah. So it's this. I tell my students, hey guys, make mistakes. It's fine. Really, it's fine. And when I say it, I mean that don't roll it in your head. Force them to speak. Force them to move their mouth, yeah, and to be like always with talking mouth, not thinking business letters. In soft skills, this really doesn't work anymore when we speak about soft skills. And the last thing, which again during business course I always force them to do, is repeat such cliches as would you like some tea or coffee perhaps? Yeah. Shall I show you around the plant? So such phrases, I really force them to say very quickly, the phrases which belong to cliches, because I believe that when you speak about cliches, they should be on the tip of your tongue. And that's why in this case, I force them to repeat Miro with themselves, but it's only repeat 20 times, 50 times each year, it's individual. And that's the idea of globish. Business English nowadays promotes that it's no longer British versus American, but this is the language of cross-cultural communication, and their partners may be Indians, Polish people, whoever, yeah, whoever can be your partner, and this is gonna be the language of the whole universe. So that's the goal, the difference fundamental between general and business English, that the goal is to get your job done, regardless of how many mistakes or however you're going to do that, yeah? Get the job done. Even if you hate the style, yeah, of your partner, you have to work, and you're going to work, and you're going to use English with 5 million mistakes, if that's the way he understands it. So globish, yeah, the idea of cross-cultural communication. And the demonstration of this is right here. It's my favorite slide, that if you need to get your job done, you say it very, very quickly and very, very directly. But if you are always in a rush, that also creates a little bit bad image about you. So your language must be your tool. If you're in business, you must be a master of your language. Yeah. And that's exactly the idea of accommodation, that if your level is higher than your interlocutor's level, you go down. It's no longer superiority that you show off with the beauty of your language. No, you have to accommodate and you have to get the job done. So you explain it to your students too, yeah? That's the priority in business English. So, this is the slide which demonstrates all the soft skill trainings, and this year we decided that we really need to launch this online course for all teachers and for all business professionals who would like to improve exactly communication skills. And you can see here what it covers, basically what I mentioned, this networking, small talk, meeting people, of course presentations, not self-presentation, but presentations, yeah, how to prepare them well, correspondence, follow-up, and negotiations. So these models, they are already recorded with tests, with follow-up, and with feedback, let's say our own feedback. And we are speaking not as just teachers, but as people with administrative background and with MBA degree. So it's like a combination, which I hope allows us to be a little bit, just to see it from a little bit different perspective. So that's why if you guys would like to join our course, you feel free to do that. Now our course is being sold on Runo Academy. So Runo Academy, it is an online university. We decided not to do it ourselves, but to do it already on a professional level. And so if you want to, there is a access that you can try and see what module you prefer. So maybe something that remained unclear, And so you can do that. And we opened it for some of our teachers. We got some positive feedback, some feedbacks which was missing, so we added that. That's why I will be very grateful to get your feedback. Do not really hesitate to contact me, even if it's something like it was unclear or maybe you expected a bit different thing. So this is fresh course. It's only like starting. It's not like rolling for many years or something. But nevertheless, I do believe in the usefulness of this project for teachers and for business people. So thank you so much. I think that I'm on time. Yeah, and I was speaking very fast. Sorry, it's again the thing I'm still working on. And add me, feel free to ask me questions on Facebook. I'm more than open, and let's stay in touch, how they say networking. Yeah, let's stay in touch. Yeah, if you have any questions, do I have time for questions?
Sorry, we don't. Or
Okay, so then all questions on Facebook. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your attention and for your feedback. That's really something important for me. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, yes. Екатерина, can you switch off for sharing?
I hope. Yes.
Я пока только напомню в конце, что все ссылки, которые сегодня представлены, они только для онлайн-участников, да, это эксклюзив, поэтому вы их, пожалуйста, берите сейчас. И еще технический момент.
Все, правильно я отключила, да?
Все, да. И технический момент по поводу ссылок на конференцию, то есть ссылка, по которой вы зашли сейчас, она действительно на все конференции сегодняшнего, этой недели, учительской, да, как мы говорим, учительских дней, то есть сегодня, завтра, послезавтра, до пятницы, ссылка одна и та же. Поэтому вы по ней заходите завтра, послезавтра и в пятницу. На следующей неделе ссылки будут другие, поэтому у кого вариант комбо, то у вас будут другие ссылки. Что касается всех презентаций, мы их выложим на Google Диск в отдельную папку и тоже пришлем вам ссылку, вы сможете их оттуда брать. Видеозапись сегодняшняя будет не позже завтрашнего дня. И у нас бонусное выступление, как я и обещала, Владислав Тищенко очень хочет для вас выступить, он уже включился. Так, пожалуйста, прошу, посмотрите, что вы не включаетесь видео и онлайн. И еще 15 минут, и мы будем прощаться с вами до завтрашнего дня. Владислав, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes, can you please put pluses or something in the chat box so I can see that you are here, that you can hear me fine? Okay, okay, that's great. Yes, thank you a lot for our participants, Артем Морозов, Tom Wiseman, Екатерина Чегнова. They made a great presentations. I think you will love them to use all the material they present. I think it will be very useful for everybody to use and to have this material with our students. And you know what, so I would like to share my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you say yes in the chat if you can see my screen? Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, so just will be just a small talk today. I can say a really small speech. So I just want to say just a bit how to find the best material for your students. So just let me present myself. I'm just Vlad Tищенко, the editor of the first interactive educational magazine, English Mag. So you can see it in print. You can find it already in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in some other cities, and in some national libraries too. Yes, and I will just tell about the magazine just a little bit later. And just a bit I want to say to, yes, so I think there's a latest tendency that we have nowadays that recently a lot of people, yes, want to start learning and improve their English. Yeah, so this is, I think it's evident. And but what we have? Yes, so often they face difficult material. They face difficult material for understanding. Yes, so they have just books, and a lot of text, nothing else, and grammar, a lot of some rules, and you know what? And this is all thing nowadays. It's really difficult to understand, especially for our younger generation, because we're just used to all this mobile, photos, videos, Instagram, YouTube. So they really cannot, I think, express and I can say evaluate all the material that we have in the best way. So we need to face to present them something interesting. You know what? And yes, there's one solution that we have, that we can use, yes, native magazines in English. I don't know, National Geographic. So can you just put plus if you read National Geographic in English and you are familiar with National Geographic or maybe some other magazines? Can you just maybe name some magazines that you like reading in English? And can you put it in the chat? It's really interesting to know what magazines do you like reading. So English Professional, okay, interesting magazine. What else? Maybe I'm just Glamour, maybe some years. Maybe Vogue for somebody, or what else about? Maybe you know Hot English Magazine. It's also the magazine which is made online usually. It's published, I think, yes, in somewhere in Europe, in Poland, I suppose. So there are National Geographic. I think you need to check it anyway, National Geographic. So who lives in Moscow, you can go, you know, to Leninka, you know, Russian State Library, yes, Центральная библиотека Ленина. You can go there and you can find really great their books, books and also magazines. Yes, so National Geographic, Time, also Economist, some others. So anyway, we need to understand what's the media and what's the world just offers us and what we need to do. So anyway, just check, okay, who lives in Moscow especially, and you can find there also our magazine English Mag. So it's also available. So this is the first our issue, and also you can find this one and this one also in the link. You can read there anyway, apart from other places in Moscow. Okay, so but you know what? The main thing that we can find them in maybe in some central libraries like Leninka. Central libraries maybe only. For example, in Voronezh we also have some magazines in English, but also in the central libraries. If we're talking about general libraries or newsstands, it's impossible. It's impossible to find native English magazines. Or maybe somebody can find English magazines just in your neighborhood. Please put plus or yes, and it would be really interesting to find out where you can find them native. So I mean yes, about Geo, National Geographic, Economist, you know, such magazines, and some others, maybe even newspapers. You know, we had interesting that maybe 20 years ago it was possible to find just in the central post office, it was possible to find newspapers from Europe, some magazines even, but it's not this way nowadays, and really it's what we need somewhere to solve this problem. Yes, and how we are solving this problem? We are just publishing the first interactive educational magazine. So I will just have a look at some papers from this magazine. You can find it on the website englishmag.ru. You can scan it, or also I can show you a PDF version of the magazine. So for example, it looks like this. Now we have a lot of interviews with different, also I can say very famous people. So here on the first you can see how to use the magazine. Yes, so a lot of interesting material. Yes, so the main thing, so how to make your I can say how to make your lessons interesting is first of all to find the best material. And here we just suggest interviews. Also we also have travel blogs like Patagonia, Canada blog. So this is also FIFA blog. So anyway, we have some blogs interesting. in the magazine, we can also see, you can see 25 ways to make a community better. You know, it's a really great thing. I will just try to show you these pages in the magazine. So also how to sustainable Toronto, for example, also how to make our city better in way of ecology, in way of recycling. So also we're talking about some business forums. Always we have such column funny and weird. We have interesting photos, and the main thing is to make our students interesting. Yeah, so that's why we use colorful material. Yeah, so here just have, for example, Patagonia travel blog. So, and here just really I can suggest this is our new issue, and here we have from now on we have text with parallel translation. You see, we can have the text in English, and we can have the text in Russian. So it will be really interesting for the beginners. Yeah, it's A1, A2 level. So anyway, it will be very, very, very useful for them to read. And even you can see there's a logo, so you can even listen to this on the website. You can say English map Patagonia, for example. Yeah. So also we have something like the main thing is to make also to use maps. You know what? Please do use maps in your presentations. It really shows. First of all the students want to know where it happens, yeah, where it was. So this is the thing that we use in our magazine. Yeah, so maps and interesting photos, just like this. Yeah, so we can do it in English and in Russian text, and we highlight the words. Yes, some words we highlight in both ways. Yeah, so just in blue color. So I hope you can see it. It's not so maybe big size, but anyway. So yeah, so have a look at this. Top 25 ways how to make a community better. You can find this article on the website. You know, we need to make our interest in we need to make our students not only learn English, but also we need to involve them in community life. You know, to make something good for the people around us. Yes, for the neighborhood. As for example, here you can see that there's one organization just in USA. Just they are making such benches just on the streets, nothing similar, but you can talk with, for example, your community or your local community or with some mayors or of your city, if it's not a big one. And anyway, they will just approve anything like this. So it will be really, really useful in every city where you live. And also, for example, bicycle routes. I think a lot of people like riding a bicycle, but a lot of places are not made for the riding. Yes, we don't have any markups, so this is also what we highlight. You can read also, but how it's possible to make it possible in your neighborhood. Yeah, so there are a lot of other interesting places also to make a little library, free library. For example, even in the park, you can make something a small like a small box where you can put books, and just with the glass made it, and it will be everything will work fine, and people can gather and exchange books. So do you have something like that in your city? Can you do you have something like this? So can you exchange books in your neighborhood? For example, we have something like this in a bookshop, or just in the training centers we have such, and where people can put books there and just take another book. For example, such a place where you can exchange books. Do you have such opportunity in your places? So yeah, who authors the articles, and which articles are chosen to be translated? We have such question. Yeah, I will answer this question just a bit later. Okay. So anyway, so just about also we have here the material and everything. You see, we have glossaries. You see, glossaries is also the part of every article, and it's possible and it's very convenient to use in different ways. Okay, and for example, here we have also about post-crossing. You know what? If you don't know about post-crossing, you definitely need to check it, because your students will love to exchange just postcards from different places. And I don't have too much postcards, but I can just show you just a bit, just a few postcards from different places. From this one, just I got it from London. So it's really interesting to exchange. So your students will love to get different postcards from all over the world. So it will be really interesting, I can say. So check this post-crossing website. Yeah, so for example, so Sustainable Toronto. So you can have a look at these pages. And what we also do, we use some TED videos and make them available for and adapt them for different levels. So you can read, we can have some glossaries, and it will be, I think, interesting to read for different levels. So for example, landing the plane in New York, how it happened, how it survived. And so the speaker, Rick Ellis, he tells the audience that it's really important, how much is it important to think not only about business, not only about the money, but first of all about the family, about relations, so this is what we can think about in really emergency situations. Yeah, so for example, here we have also some business forums. We also have it in English and Russian translation. Yes, but sometimes post-crossing, there are different websites. So anyway, post-crossing is useful if you make it, I can say, use the right websites. Yes, and just exchange. So anyway, it will be interesting to exchange postcards and so it will be interesting. So first of all, it's not only digital. You see, we need to make something that is printed. Yeah. So the main thing in our digital era. So we need to also to make our eyes a little bit get just relaxed, because if we also always just in front of the computer, our eyes are really not adapting. And we really need to have time to relax and to have time and to take care of our eyes. Yeah, for example, also have some business forums, also interesting. We talked with some really famous, I can say, people, also made interviews with also, I can say, for example, Gilbert Seals. He's also such a very, I can say he's one of the person who make it possible that Tony Robbins come to Russia. So also you can read this interview, for example. Also such Malcolm Gladwell, also he just top 100, according to Times, he's top 100 influential person in the world. So it's also interesting to check his TED speech and some photos also from the business forum where he made it possible in Moscow. Yeah, so also what's the best way to learn English? Yeah, so also you can read the article and you will definitely find something interesting also in this. Yeah, and also if your students are just young students, maybe from just maybe 4 to 10 years, it will be really interesting to use some board games. So we have such board games, it's really convenient. I can just show you, for example, this way. So you can just put it on your table, use a coin, use something like that. For example, you can use a coin, and if you have, for example, if you have, or a dice. So for example, if you have heads, you can go 2 spaces, tails, you can go 1 space. So it's really convenient to play this game in different ways. Or you can use a dice, and you can go from 1 to 6. Yeah, so we have also lyrics. It's also interesting. You can check with your QR code. Yes, so we can go. And it will be also interesting to listen and treat it at the same time, and also with the parallel translation. We have it on the website. Yeah, so for example, and this is funny and weird section also. It will be really interesting for young, I can say, students, but anyway, it will be interesting for different levels and different ages. Yeah, and also ecology is our top priority, I can say, and we also highlight different ecology events in different places. So for example, in our last issue also highlighted that it will be clean games, for example. It will be also a big event will take place in Moscow, and not only in Moscow, around Russia. So if you want to make your community cleaner, so you can also check. I will just go to this page. For example, yes, clean games. I can find it on the website also. It's possible to take part if you are just from Voronezh, Krasnodar, St. Petersburg, and even some other cities will take place in this huge event to make our, I can say, world a better and cleaner place. Yeah, so here we have some material from Trendy English, also Sun English. Also, you can have a look at this material. I think you will love Sun English. They they offer these interesting board games. You can find them also in the magazine. And also, if you don't know about Ludwig.guru website, you know what, you definitely need to check it. Ludwig.guru is just the website I can send to you. That first of all, if you have some articles and you need to check if you're right. For example, if you have some expression, you need to check is it useful, is it commonly or not, so you can use it. So yes, I have some really time just finished really fast. I can say that, but anyway, you can have a look at the presentation later, and you can find that also material and videos on the website. So have a look, and also you can find the magazines in different places. In Moscow, it will be Молодая гвардия, also Biblia Globus, Московский дом книги. Yes, also Центральная библиотека имени Ленина. So, and also in St. Petersburg, you can find it in Book House, and also in Voronezh, also you can find it in different bookshops. Yes, so thank you very much. I will also share some links. So for all our participants today, we offer a great discount. So just 1 second, I will just need to make it available for everyone. Yes, so we have a great discount, so 50% discount for all our PDF magazines. So we already have 3 magazines. So this is our 3rd issue, this is our 2nd issue English Mag, and this is our 1st issue. So you definitely can order it only for 50 rubles. So we have 50% discount. So it will be really great and useful. So you can some of you can print it, some you can use it in your places, in your classes. So I think it will be really useful to you. So thank you very much. I hope, and also I have one question. There was one question. So about who authors the article and which articles are chosen to be translated. You know what? I can say that we have native speakers also in the editors, in the content editors. So for example, one of them is Jean-Marc Dugan. So maybe some of you have heard of him. So he is also, I can say like he's the second anyway Edward Snowden. So he, I can say in the Russia right now, and he is like a really great person. So you can check also in the magazine. You can just open the 2nd page, and you can see that the material who in the content editors, and you can find it just on the 1st page. So we have all this information available. Yes, so this is the magazine that we do, and if you have any more questions, I will be glad to hear. Yes. Yulia, can you hear?
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Please stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. So we'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll have, starting since tomorrow, we'll have a very difficult 3 days because we'll have 15 speakers. They will talk for 30 minutes. So we'll have very strict timing. And all of them will give you some bonuses for your online visiting. So see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock sharp, Moscow. If you have any questions, feel free to share them with our speakers, with me, or with any person you want who is here. So thank you. Bye.